Boom! Live. Bam. Friday, 23 minutes late. Little later than usual, but you know what? It's part of it, guys. Lateness is what we're about because it's beer. It's whatever. What else are you doing? It's a pandemic. You're at home. You know? So this evening, this is a good one. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while. We obviously would have liked to do this in person, but you know, we do it the best way we can. So I'm just going to get this one going. Episode 37, I believe. Look at that. What's good, y'all? This is C Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 37 of Beer and Other Shit Podcast, Adjunct Series, Quarantine Edition. This evening, I realized this earlier, this is the first brewery from Quebec City we've ever had on the podcast, which is exciting. I didn't realize that. Very cool. You guys, if you're following us, you would have seen a lot of content about these guys. These guys are one of my favorite discovery, even though I was about to say discoveries of 2020. They've been around for 7 years, but to be honest, this is the first year I really got into their stuff, and it is out of control. I'm going to bring them right on in. We have Max and Pierre Hugo of Brasserie Générale, and of course Noah of Beerism, co-hosting with me. What's good, Ab? Put the applause. You guys can't hear it, but I got applause going.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
Hello, guys.
What's going on?
Everyone good?
It's our second anniversary, so this is why we are here right now.
Happy anniversary.
Yes. Second anniversary of the brew pub, correct? As opposed to the...
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
I love it. That's amazing. Congrats, guys. How did the... you guys had a bottle launch today. How did that all go?
Yeah, how'd it go?
I think it went pretty well, but
Nice.
the past few minutes we were busy trying to get our mics on and make it sound right. So we kind of lost track of time, but it went really well.
Good.
We almost sold out on the smoothie one and the pastry, so I think
Nice.
it's going pretty well.
Not surprised. Not surprised. Man, we got a good one tonight, so we're gonna definitely get into all the stuff about you guys, how you came about, what's going on. When I realized that we never had a Quebec City brewery, I'm like, shit, that's awesome. So maybe we could touch on a bit of the scene out there. We got to meet. Didn't get to meet you, Pierre, but I got to meet up with Max at the brew pub. Sorry, in I think it was late August. So the whole region blew my mind. It was incredible. So I'm super excited to really hear more about it and to let you guys tell the story too. So before we do it, obviously we're gonna need to crack a gosh darn beer. So we're gonna start. You know what? The average people would start on a lager or something that's like light and easy. We're like, fuck that. We're going to triple IPA off the bat. We don't care.
Bam.
This is how it's
Don't
done.
go.
Boom. Tell us about this beer, guys. This one's got Cryo Citra and Cryo Equinox. Nice. 10%, because that's how we do. Oh, can
Yeah. So this is our first official release of a triple IPA.
Okay.
We have a small batch we brewed, but we weren't satisfied, so we just took some time and wait to get another run at it. So this is the one that turned out pretty well. So it's a 10% triple IPA.
Yep.
I'm gonna let Max talk about it. He's gonna be the one that brewed it.
Okay, so basically it's our second try on the Interlude recipe. The first time, it was more like sugary, and the aromas were really, really good. But with triple IPA, often when you're trying to put like 10% alcohol and that kind of stuff, the yeast can come like a bit lazy.
Yeah.
So this version is the second version, is right on point. Seriously. On bitterness level, on the alcohol, on the residual sugar, on hop aromas. So I'm kind of really happy to enjoy it.
Love it.
And the design is just I'm just in love with the design. The label.
Yeah.
Because
super good.
it was made. It's Romain Lasserre, a guy that we are working with for the past few months. And we're just getting on the same zone, and this one is kind of freaking awesome.
I love it. Got to get the flick because I haven't had this. Well, that's fun.
He has these characters that have these fruit heads, and it's kind of consistent across all your IPAs now. It's cool.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, this was
Uh,
born with the I Like Big Ups SKU that we brewed back this summer, I think.
Yes.
And we just loved it so much, we decided to keep going at it and just ended up in the whole November series. And now we've got the Interlude and
Yes.
one more coming in January.
Okay. From this series, from the Interlude series.
Yeah,
you're-
basically the
Woo.
interlude is the name is about making a pause of the Reverber series. So it's kind of freezing in the time. So that was the the idea behind the name and the label. So Romain just made like a big pop cycle,
Yeah.
just like freezing in the time with the fruity, the people with fruit head. So it's kind of this is the concept.
Yeah.
What do you call these in Australia there, Craig?
Icy
It's an
poles.
ice pole?
Icy pole. It's an icy pole, guys.
That's what they call them. Everything's
What?
an icy pole, apparently.
Yes, it is. What is it in?
That sounds good.
Right, it does. Right, it's a little strange. I do understand. Like, definitely see it as weird. So here, what is it? It's a popsicle or a freezy. Is it different in Quebec? Is it
Yeah, popsicle.
okay? Even in French, or is there like a French name for it?
Yeah, popsicle in French.
Okay,
Mm.
lazy,
Yeah,
but I
I
respect
think
it.
it's
But that's how you call it here.
Okay,
I think it's the brand.
Yeah.
the brand. Okay, so like. Noah made a good point because that the more IPAs I've had from you guys, I've probably had like half a dozen at this point, and they definitely have a very this characteristic that's carried across. Like, what are you doing to keep that consistency to the point where Noah was even able to guess this beer, not this one, the Reverber number 2, like completely blind, which is pretty crazy. Which means you guys have really made a signature sort of nose and a signature flavor profile, which is very, very cool in a short time.
Yeah, I guess it amounts to the how we work with the hops and the fermentation.
Okay.
We use a whole range of hops, mostly US varieties right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we get this strong ripe fruit
Yeah.
flavor coming through. I guess it's probably how we handle the whole dry hopping during fermentation process. We like to keep it before the end of the fermentation to make sure we don't get any oxygen in the beer.
Mm-hmm.
To keep all the flavors fresh in it.
And this is great, by the way.
Yeah, I really
and
like
that
it.
sweetness, the sweetness that you were talking about, is nice. Like in Reverber 2, I think you were saying, Max, that it was a bit sweeter than you wanted it to be. Whereas in this definitely has a certain amount of sweetness to it, but it's a little bit scaled back, and that little bit of 10% ethanol thing cuts through those sugars perfectly. So it's just kind of, it's nicely round, and it's not green at all, and it's not
No.
too sharp. It's pretty just rich and bright, but not like over the top either. It's really nice. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, with triple IPAs, it's difficult, to have higher alcohol, the right amount of sugar and the right amount of, aromas. So it's just find the best balance between all those specs. And we knew that with the Reverber 2 we were a little bit too sweet. So we just kind of learned from that and tried to different things to arrive at this point. You guys were talking about the signature. We play a lot with our mineral profile. So depending on which kind of beer we're brewing, we just kind of play. It's kind of a play around. So if we want it sweeter, if sharper, or it's kind of another dimension that we use. So maybe the signature is about the mineral profile.
Could be, yeah.
Okay. No, that's dope. I love it. I love that you've been able to do this. Like, how long have you had this consistent profile with the IPAs? Because I know my understanding is this year a lot of things have changed into this kind of direction.
Yeah, it all started with Brew Pub. We got this place open in December in 2018.
Okay.
So we wanted a playground to be able to try stuff with more freedom.
Okay.
Because in the factory we have up north in the town, it's a bigger size, so there's less leeway for us to try new things without big incidences. So that's where we've always been kind of shy on the IPAs for one of these reasons. So when we got the brew pub open, Max came in, and then we just started going at it really hard. So that's when the Rubber series was born. It took some time until we got satisfied with the first results. Yeah, that's pretty much where it all started.
Okay.
Before that, you had Izzy on the market a few years ago, right? I guess that was that the closest thing you had to. Well, I mean, it was a New England style IPA, was it not? Or it was a lower ABV though. I think it was 5% or 5.5 or something.
Yeah, I could call the session.
Right.
So it was definitely a New England style IPA. We definitely did not have the same techniques we do now, so it was more upburnt in the flavors. We had much more contact time on the dry ups and things like that. So one of the things we changed in this year is we keep the contact time on the hops so short, just enough to get the flavors in, and then we just dump it out of the beer, so you don't get any of the harshness into it. It's a big factor.
Right. Well, do you want to maybe take us back to where it all started? Like, how did both of you guys get into beer, and then how did the brewery come about? Because I know, like, Max, you came in a little after and stuff. And just before you say it, Martin Tremblay says, "Hello, my friends. Cheers." G'day, Martin. What up, bro? Cheers. Love it.
Hey, Martin.
Martin is actually one of the associates with us.
Oh, nice.
Ah, cool.
Cheers, bro. Yeah, give us that backstory, guys. I want to hear. I want to know what's up.
You want to start, Mark? So I do.
Okay, I think you can do. Yeah.
So polite.
We started brewing.
Like
back in a long time ago, it was like many brewers. I started with the small kits you get in the cans. Just we called the first one that we made with my friend. Back in the time, it was a craft dinner because all you did was add water. So that's the first one, and
that's good.
It took maybe a year till I got into the grain brewing, the classical way to brew beer. Then I moved to Quebec City about 11 years ago, and then after a year or two, I got to work at La Barberie, which I think you went to.
I did, yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've done maybe 2 years over there.
Nice. I didn't know that.
And then I left to open General Brewery, the first factory that's north of town.
Okay. And that was 7 years ago, right? It was open.
Yeah, in 2013, yeah.
2013, hence the anniversary beers you guys dropped recently, which were insane. One of them we're about to have tonight as well, which I'm excited because I haven't tried that yet. Okay, and then Max, so then you were running from out of the bigger brewery, like the production brewery, is about 20 minutes north of Quebec City, of the city. And that's what you were sort of pumping out. And then 2 years ago, like you were saying, this one, which is in Limoilou, the hipster area that I discovered there, super sick. And the place is beautiful. It's small, but it's cozy. I didn't get to eat. That was my one main regret about Quebec City, is I didn't get to eat there. Because when we were leaving, Max and Sam were having lunch and they were bringing the food out. We're like, fuck, man, this is insane. Like this fried chicken and stuff. I was like, it was crazy. I'm very, very impressed. So how, I mean, it started from that. Why did you decide to open the brew pub side of things and not maybe, I know you got a tasting room at the other facility, is that right? Yeah.
Maybe been 2 years, I think.
2 years there, okay, cool. So why did you guys decide to branch out and then open a different spot?
As I said earlier, mainly because we wanted to have a more closer contact with our clientele, our customers, because we don't get that up at the factory, and also because we wanted a small kit to brew it, and it's a 300 liter we have here, so it's perfect for our size. We can make enough beer to get a sense of what's going to happen with it in terms of evolution and stuff. So Max joined during the brewery, General Brewery, when we opened the brew pub. We've been a long time friends. Maybe like not too long after I started working at La Barberie. I met him. He was working at maybe Max can take it from here and speak about his history.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I met Hugo at the Barbary because I was doing like a scholarship. I don't know what to call it in English, but at the end of your scholarship, you have to do some work at some place.
A work
to get
placement.
a stage. Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, stage. Yeah.
Okay, so I met to go there at the Barbary, but before that, I was in Chicoutimi in Lac Saint Jean, and I was always I always wanted to be a brewer. So at like 17 years old, I just decided, okay, I want to be a brewer. So it seems to be cool, and I want to do that stuff.
At
So
17.
basically just
Crazy.
choose everything to get to that point. So I just studied in dietetic in Chicoutimi, and it gave me the opportunity to do a stage in Quebec City at La Barberie. So with the stage, it just opened up for me. When I came back to Quebec City a couple years later, and this is where I began to work at the Micro des Beauprés. It's kind of a small brew pub with Luc Boivin, an ex owner of Dieu du Ciel. That just wanted me to brew and to do some sports at the Mont Saint Anne, and so he just decided with John, his girlfriend, to move to Saint Anne de Beaupré and open up the Micro de Beaupré. So I just worked there for the past 5 years almost before joining for BG 18, which is my project now. And after that, I'm now one of the owner of BG globally. So this is it.
Amazing. I love that.
Were you around when Ruth dropped that double IPA?
No.
That was before you.
This is before. This is one of the Luc recipe. So I think Route 138 is still one of the beers that they just produce in small batches once a month, and everything just sell out like really fast. It's kind of an old school IPA, more like a West Coast, a caramel thing, but it's pretty good. And a lot of customers like it. And I was not there when Route 138 just appeared.
It was a pretty sought-after beer when it first came out, I remember, because at the time there weren't a whole lot of particularly modern style IPAs in Quebec at the time. I mean, I guess everywhere in general, because it was like in Heady Topper's heyday, I think, that era-esque, and then people were talking about this 138 in Quebec City, and you can only get it in growlers. Right, not growlers, but growlers.
Growlers, yeah.
These big bottles. I never got to try it, actually. I actually went through Quebec City this year or at least down 138 to go to the water, and I stopped in and I asked, and they kind of laughed at me. Like, no.
You were like 15 minutes away, huh? Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing. I wasn't thinking. I was with the kids and everything, and we were just traveling. I drove right by it, and I was like, oh, and then so I just circled around. But
Can
it
you?
wasn't a beer trip.
So what is this beer you guys are talking about? Because I don't know, but maybe other people don't know what you're talking about. What is it? So a beer called 138 that was an IPA.
Yeah. So to get to that brewery, de Beaupré, it's Micro de Beaupré.
Exactly. Yeah.
You take the highway, the 138, and they named this beer basically 138.
Okay.
So
It's a Route 138, so Road 138.
Gotcha.
yeah, Route
Gotcha.
138 exactly. And I just remember it from back in the day being one of the sought-after double IPAs in Quebec. Heady Topper-esque, but West Coasty or whatever. I never got to try it, but
Gotcha.
remember. So the fact that you worked there, I thought I'd ask if you were part of its
Part of that.
creation or something.
Where is that area? Where is Beaupré? Just for Quebec geography.
So it's along the coast. When you go down the east from Quebec City, you just do go along the river, about 40 kilometers past Quebec City. You'll just get there.
Okay,
It's called-
not too far.
Yeah, Getaway Town to the east.
Okay, all right, nice. Yes, it's
Cool. I'd never been there.
yeah.
I've been to Quebec City like once, and then this year you just like you drive along the coast for hours. And
Yeah.
hours. It's just town after town after
Yeah,
town after town. It's crazy.
This is the you know the main of the Route 138. It's kind of a it starts from the state of New York and like at what it's called again. It's Kegaska.
Blanc.
The Brasserie Générale or Kegaska. It's about like 1,540 kilometers from one point to another. So it's
Wow.
like a really really long road, and always on the north side of the Saint Lawrence River. So it's really awesome. And the funny thing is that when I was working there, Hugo was living in Beaupré, which is the city just next to the brewery. And Pierre Hugo is coming from North Coast, like at Bécomo. So
Yeah.
he have to get
Long way.
a long way on the 138, from Quebec, like 5 hours or something.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Damn.
The deep.
Yeah, that's hella
Oh,
far.
wow.
I couldn't believe how beautiful that. Like, I'd been to Quebec City once before this one, but it was like before the podcast, and like I went to breweries and stuff, but it was a different time, like 2014, and
Yeah.
or 2013, something like that. And I couldn't believe, like, I turned when we left Quebec City, I turned back and went over the bridge because I went to Ralabuck, which is on the south side. But it was like I couldn't and then we went to Gaspé after that. So like just driving along the river. So I guess it was the south side of the river we stayed on, and then all the way until it got dark at like 9 o'clock. But you got a pretty good chunk of it. It was just insane. I wish we had have done that because it cuts through. You go like up, and instead of going around the like peninsula, like you cut through to go to Gaspé. So then it was just this pitch black, no Wi-Fi, no cell reception, and it must have just been like straight trees. It was just such a crazy drive. It's such a beautiful area. It's so cool. I like it. You guys are in a good spot. But Quebec City in and of itself is it seems like you guys are having some sort of this is me from I'm Montreal and now like looking at you guys from the outside. I feel like that there's just fire on fire coming out of Quebec City. Would you say there's a craft beer like another wave of like stuff happening out there? Or is it
surge in the last
Yeah.
couple of years, I guess? You could
or
say,
even
yeah.
even like this probably the last couple of years, but even more so this year. I just really feel like there's a bunch of breweries that I've slowly been posting content mentioning like, hey, what was your favorite whatever of this year? And I'm seeing more and more Quebec City breweries being mentioned. And I'm feeling that way too. So I was like, okay, it seems that this is a common thread. What the hell are you guys doing? What's happening out there?
What's in the water?
What's in the water?
Just having fun. Just doing what we like, I guess. There's definitely a huge boom in the breweries and the way they evolved. Barbary is a very good example. They've been around for like 20 years,
Okay.
and they've just took a steep turn in the last few years to just
Right.
change how they've made beers and what kind of beer they approach. So it's really nice to see. And also some new breweries like Brasserie Générale, which is just close to us, and
Yes.
that's been doing some really nice stuff too. And La Souche is maybe like 800 meters from our brew pub in Limoilou as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very close. And their factory is even more north. It's in Stoneham, which is a bit more north than us.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been booming. It's been a really nice scene for increasing the time.
No, it's
Yeah,
dope.
I think the market is evolving really fast. Quebec, just following the vibe, and the older breweries are more concentrated in the old part of Quebec City, and the newer one are on the lowest part of Quebec City, and even more further. The brew pub here on the 18th Street is just like, as Hugo said, like 100 meters from Brasserie-sur-Demande and 2 kilometers from Emporium, and up less than a kilometer from La Souche. So right now we have a scene on the lower parts of the city, and it's kind of evolving. And the main people are like Emporium, us, Brasseurs Demande. There's Alpha further. Noctem's been there for a couple of years now, and it's kind of evolving.
Yeah.
I love it.
And another thing about Quebec City is that it's such a dense city as Montreal, so you have to get around in your car and take the bus to get to breweries. But if you want to make a 20-30 minute drive, you can get to so many breweries
Right.
not too far away. So it's like a Micro brewery, as we spoke about, is like 30 minutes from Quebec City.
Right.
So it's not that far when you think about it.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's pretty close. I guess even if you think about that being 30 minutes and then your other production facilities 20 minutes north, right? So I guess it's not. Everything seems super easy. You mentioned the Old Port. That was a good point because when we went to Barbary was the first one, which I'd been to before. That was super cool because they changed a lot since 2014. And I think I didn't go to the Noctem. They have one down there, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like a pub.
Yeah.
We went to the other one, to their production facility, which was kind of far out too, 15, 20 minutes out. But it was all easy. The driving there was super easy. I feel like there's not as... maybe it was different, but it didn't seem... And it's a pandemic, but it didn't seem like there was a ton of traffic. It was like easy to get around. Then you guys, like you were telling me, I think Max as well, you're like, yeah, you should go to La Souche, you should go to the Brasserie Générale. I'm like, we already had the day planned because of the way that we did the trip, but I didn't realize that everywhere, like what breweries are like, you go, they're like, oh, are you going here? You going here? I'm like, oh, man, I didn't know. So it was interesting because to me the thing that was crazy was Quebec City's it was less than 3 hours. It was like 2 hours and 45 minutes maybe from Montreal, and I was kind of annoyed at myself that we hadn't spent more time out there because I was just so impressed with the beer, and I was always a little scared about going east in Quebec, to be honest, speaking for the Anglophones, because I was like, no one's going to speak English and we're going to be screwed. But it was pretty
You'd
sweet.
be surprised. It's almost the opposite a little bit. In Montreal, I think because of the history of having that many Anglos, there's a certain... I mean, obviously I don't want to get into this, but there's a certain animosity that exists in Montreal, I think, because of the fact that there is an English population, whereas I think sometimes when you go to like Quebec City, and it's a very tourist-driven town, there's a little bit of less of that, if that makes any sense.
That's a really good
It's
point.
almost more welcoming in a way.
I wonder if that when we did it the first time, like we were pretty much only went to the Old Port, what you always would do if you visit the city, and that was I couldn't believe. I felt like it was easier than Montreal to deal with the English. But this second time, obviously I've been here a lot longer, and my French is still shit, but like I could figure it out. We went to Gaspé, so I had no choice. I was like, all right, we're going balls deep here. Let's just figure it out. And it was pretty good. There was always like I could bluff my way through it, or there was one person who could speak English well enough, and we were good. But it was just impressive because it was like I guess I'm only saying it because I want to encourage anybody who might be like, it's a little just fucking go. It was just one of the we were, like I said, we were so close for so long. So it's just now I wish we discovered it before all of this stuff happened, or rediscovered it before all this stuff happened, because we would have spent more time going up. They'd be like, let's just grab a car and go to Quebec City for a couple of nights. Let's do it. Hit up a few people, we'd do a podcast, do some blah blah blah. Like, it was just so impressive to me. It was my we did a blog. I was telling Noah earlier, we did a blog post. We do an end of year wrap up, and Quebec City was my number one discovery this year. Obviously, there wasn't as many discoveries as usual, but still, like, it was just so cool. Because I was just so impressed. And particularly the pub, guys. It's just so sick. So before, I don't know if we want to do the tour again, because you were showing Noah around the pub. I don't know if it'll mess anything up, but it's such a cozy place, and the way that you guys have set up the brewery section out there in the mezzanine is just defying logic, and the fact that you're able to pump out so much quality beer in a space that's so small is insane to me. Do you want to maybe take folks on a bit of a tour around, maybe just show the place?
Yeah, of course, with pleasure. Now, right now we are at the bar now, just finding out to switch my camera.
There we go.
By the way, this beer has such a pineapple thing.
Yeah.
Like candied pineapple. It's just
That's what it is.
blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, it's just really good.
Or papaya? I don't know. Anyway, it's
No, I think it's candy. I wrote pineapple, but it's candied pineapple. That's what it is.
okay. So you got pineapple.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a go.
Hey, who's that guy? Who's that guy?
Dude,
This
that
is,
good looking.
our
Sexy.
huge logo. You know, this is insane.
Super nice.
Right now, we sat at the bar, which is empty, which is sad in those times. You know, I'm wondering when I will be, serving a glass of beer to my customers.
Right.
Okay, so this is basically it's a small place, so it's really easy to have a comfy, comfortable atmosphere. So before COVID, we were like a 50 places restaurant, but at 50%, it's really packed up, really packed up.
Yeah. Be a good vibe. Get the
Okay, so we
the
just
fridge.
a fridge. Right now, we're more like a beer store with a restaurant and some food.
Yeah.
But now you this is stuff. And the main thing is that's really awesome. You mentioned it, Craig.
Yeah.
It's the small brewery, which is about 140 foot square.
Which is insane. Look at this.
Okay, so this is
Wow.
this is not brew house, okay?
What I put like an Max.
Okay, ça va? Good. Okay, so this is the two of the fermenter vessels, and the bright tank. This is a small canning system we use.
Yeah, it's custom and homemade.
Okay. Hey, it looks great.
Really homemade, and every can is being synced with the October. So we just built a mezzanine because we had no choice. It's 140 square foot. So this is a brew house which is a 3-barrel, and this is a single fermenters.
It's so cool.
Everything is built in stainless.
The floor.
This was just like a really crazy project, but we kind of owned the shit, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
Definitely.
Okay, so this is the brewery. It's done. We've made the turn.
No, it's just so
We spent,
impressive.
like,
Go on. Sorry, you.
I said I think we spent like 3 months on the drawings of and how to position the tanks just to get the most that we could out of the space.
Like that sort of ingenuity is exactly what craft beer is all about. I fucking love that. I love that you're able to do it, but I think it's even more impressive that you're able to pump out the quality of beer. Like you had to figure that out. If it took you 3 months to figure it out, that means you really thought every single thing through. And then on top of that, you're able to pump out beer that's of the quality that you're doing. It's just crazy. And I guess you guys have been able to experiment a lot there because it's the small. You said 300-liter system, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, is that really what you're like? What sort of stuff are you guys pumping out of the pub, as opposed to the main production brewery?
Well, at the moment, there's a definition that's getting drawn between some products. So we do brew some beers here that are meant to be scaled up at the factory. So like you guys got the Brasserie series. So these were made at the factory north of town with a big kit. That's how we got into distribution. But we do have some beers that we want to make only here, like the one we'll drink, Double Dip, in a bit. Is going to be only brewed here in the small liter, in small batches. And also the smoothies we make, we know it's a very sensible product.
Yeah.
Put in time and how you manage it. So we just want to make it here, keep it controlled, because we like the style. So we want to make it in a way that's manageable for everyone to drink.
And it'll be a lot of fun to serve that on tap to everybody once you're allowed coming back in.
Yeah, the tap for sure. We have just one comment from I'm Hey DD. She's so hyped for the new releases from BG18. See you tomorrow, guys. And then Thomas Brunel. I don't know if that was did the smiley face. What up, Thomas? What up? No, that's it. Okay, so would you say then that you guys start? Is this where like the experimentation for all the products? So do you sort of like if you want to do a test batch, it's still 300 liters, but test something out? Is this where you do it, or is there still a way to do it at the production? Like how does that look for you guys?
Yeah, definitely. We still do the test at the brew pub, and then we scale up at the bigger factory. Like even with the hops, like trying different recipe of triple IPAs, double IPAs, new hops that we don't really know. So everything have to pass here
Okay.
before to make it to the bigger factory. It's kind of a classic, but this is why the pub exists at first. So we kind of continue on that way, but the pastry stout are definitely be brewed right here because we can do like 300 liters and 600 liters. So we can adjust the production a little bit, but before to do it with like 1,000 or 2,000 or 4,000 liters, kind of a different game.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah, you
with
don't want to drain a batch that big. That's
No.
for sure.
Oh no.
Yeah, it happens. We just dumped a 2,000 liters batch like 3 weeks ago, I think.
Ugh.
That's tough.
Yes, I mean, like, look, shit happens, right? It's a science experiment, really, and it's that's the beauty of the craft side, that it's not always perfect. But I couldn't imagine what that would cost if you did a 2,000 liter batch of smoothies or something that it's just straight puree and you got to dash it. Oh god,
Yeah.
I'd cry.
But, yeah, in that case, it was a quality control issue, so we had a bump in dose of oxygen out of basically an unknown event. So we just decided to send it off shelves and just dump it and brew it again.
Yeah, which that's smart. At the end of the day, it's your brand, right? And people, you don't want to be putting out anything that's subpar. So all the experimental, I guess, so like the pastries and the smoothies will be done there. Say something like this, or all the other IPAs, like I like Big Hops. I love that one. The Zell, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Zelling? Yeah, that one was fire. The Reverbear series, all of that type of stuff. Is that at the brew pub, or is that at the production?
Zell was actually the only IPA that was born at the factory.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, because it was in a kind of in between time a year ago. But it did change over time, so it's been kind of a ongoing experiment. That beer, we've been like 10 batches overall in a year.
Okay.
But all the other IPs went from the brew pub and went up. It's definitely easier to rebrew a different version of an IPA because it's a lot goes into the technique used to make it. So there's a big base. But when we want to explore new grounds, so we sometimes scale it down than 300 liters, and we do a smaller batch than that just to make sure we got things right before we get into the brew pub.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, I guess because it allows you just to test it out. So then you're able to sell in growlers and cans direct from there, so you can still operate right now.
Yeah, well, right now we can we have a takeout restaurant, so we just make food to go. But we kept the brewery running because we got our industrial license like 2 months before the pandemic, which was a blessing.
Nice.
At a point, we wanted to be able to send a couple cases in the convenience stores around the brewery. So we just got really lucky. Time fixed. So right now we've been just brewing smaller batches. We don't do any kegs because we can't serve them.
Fair.
So you've had a barrel program going for a while, I think, right? Because even before your rebrand, I saw a lot of different barrel-aged beers coming out, whether it was like your Imperial Stout aged in different barrels or whether it's different mixed fermentation things. How long have you been doing that, and where do you want it to take it going forward? I mean, obviously, we'll talk a bit about that when we drink your amazing gin barrel-aged beer that we're gonna jump on. But I'm just curious, like, when did that start? Recently or a while ago?
It's the whole barrel-aged program started like maybe 4 years ago, I think, at the factory. we crammed like 12 barrels somewhere in the factory, and then we made a spirit beer, which was a bourbon barrel aged Scotch ale, kind of a classic. And then we made a wild experiment, which turned out very bad. It was never sold at all.
What was it?
It was based supposed to be just a golden sour ale. It turned out I don't know how to describe it, but we were oxidized in the barrels. Poor management of the barrels. Simply.
Vinegar.
No, it's like a THP for us, but it was just very bad. It was just drying too fast, and we didn't top it, and just horrible experiment. So based on that, we expanded a bit more, and we learned how to work with the wood, how to manipulate it, how to fill, empty it, how to maintain it as well, how the beer evolves in the barrels. So when we moved the factory, we got a bigger space. We got maybe like 45-ish barrels in. Then we started pumping some beers that you've probably seen around, like I today never about like the Border Pira series. We've got the Brumaire coming in. We had like fruited beers too.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the three different barreled aged imperial stouts that you sent me. I think it was in the summer, or maybe you had them already, but I don't know when they were brewed. But I tried them in the summer, and I really enjoyed those. There's a certain subtlety.
Was that the
with
Russian imperial stouts? Yeah.
So we made a Russian imperial stout like a couple of years ago. We called it Sepopov. And then we just barreled the same beer into different barrels. And were more like Sir Nikolai, Sir Vladimir, and Sir Pedro, which were bourbon, Scotch, and tequila barrels.
And you're just releasing it again like this week, right? Not the barrel-aged version, but is it the barrel-aged versions again?
Yeah.
Nice.
So we did a small 4-pack. I'm actually
Yeah.
gonna bring one.
Looking at that, it's amazing.
So this year we scaled down the size, and we did 375 millimeters bottles to get the small size into the bottles.
Basically, this 4-pack,
Cool.
so it just got into the distribution. So, and the reception is pretty well because we did smaller bottles, and just this year, this year brew are just insane. They're
Nice.
just really, really good.
Is it 4 different barrels, or is it all bourbon? Or?
3 different barrels, and there's a version of the Popov, which is the main beer of all those imperial stout, and this version is made with coffee. So this is 3 barrel aged. Like there's tequila, there's Scotch, and there's bourbon, and the classic one made with coffee. So
I love it.
really good. Yeah.
That's so good.
I'm gonna keep my eye out for that.
I love it. Couple quick comments here. I'm Hey Didi says, shout out to the River Bear 7, one of the best NEP at New England in the province, in my opinion. Is that the one? Hang on, which one did we have? Was 7 the double, or was 2? No, 2 was the double. 7 was the
double. 7
was the double.
Yeah.
7 was part of the anniversary releases, right?
Basically, the number 2 of the River Brasserie is the only double, because the River Brasserie was the core of our trying to do the best IPAs, New England IPAs possible. So this is why you will never see the number 1 on the market, and the number 2 is a double IPA, and after that we just went to single IPAs at 6.5% alcohol, and from Reverber 4 to Reverber 11, it's all IPAs at 6.5% alcohol.
Nice.
Different malt, different specialty malt, and different hops and different signature. But this was the main of the Reverber series, And one fact that we don't brand, we don't say really often, is that we always use local malt from Innomalt. It's our first, we buy from Inomalt, and if they don't have, we go from Canada Maltage, and then after that we go from foreign malts like Wyoming or that kind of stuff. But we just don't brand it because we don't always have it because it's a small maltery, so they sometimes with the offer, the demand, they just don't have enough
Right.
stuff.
Yeah. I can imagine this time. Shouts to Ari. Ari in, I believe, in Birmingham, Alabama says, cheers. What up? Yeah, she's awesome. Thank you for coming through.
Cheers.
I love that. Yeah, so the barrel, one of the other barrel ones, I think this is actually part of the next beer we're going to drink. When I saw you guys, you gave me I think it started with R, and it was a Radun Weiss or something like that. It was a gin
Yes.
barrel aged. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a Raduner Weiss.
Okay.
So it's basically a Berliner Weiss mixed fermentation, Berliner Weiss that was fermented with Brett and Lactobacillus and aged in gin barrels. And the name of the gin is Radun from Gaspésie.
Okay. Gotcha.
Made with mushrooms, so that's why we called it like that.
Okay. And is that one, if I'm not mistaken, is that a part of the Calculon beer? Like that sort of base is one of the ones that was blended? Because that shit was fire, man. I was so impressed with that one.
Yeah.
So
It is part of the blend.
Part of the blend. Okay.
Yeah.
And as far as the barrels, Noah mentioning that stuff. So you've got the stouts that you were just showing there that are coming out. When are those ones coming out, by the way, for people who want those? Are they out now or soon?
Yeah, they're not now. Like this last week.
This last week, okay.
We did in stores.
Okay, perfect. What other type of stuff have you been doing? I mean, obviously, you got the stouts there, but you've done this specific one, which is like what would you call Calculon? Is it some like a style? Is it just this barrel aged sour, or is it like something? I actually haven't had it yet, so I'm excited. But
so Calculon for us is like the first beer of many that we want to make in our barrel program. We did grow it very big, and we decided about 6 months ago to scale down the number of barrels we had and focus on a new strategy. So we want to make like blending stock with different varying mixed cultures. So we've been doing some spontaneous fermentations and then using cultures from other worldwide breweries to create diverse stock that we can blend to get different flavors.
Okay.
When you say spontaneous, do you mean like do you have a cool ship that you're using, or is it more like a spontaneous fermentation in the barrel?
So it's not technically a cool ship. It's a cool ship. We not any yeast beer, and so basically it's a spontaneous beer. So our cool ship is like it's a blending tank we use with a big mantle on it, like maybe a meter and a half wide. But it's not a standard cool ship like you see.
But it's the same concept essentially.
No yeast added. We cooled overnight. We did two batch last year, 2 batch this year.
Wow,
that's
good
dope.
on you guys. That's awesome.
Yeah. So are you going to be doing more of that type of stuff as well? So obviously, the stouts, but are you going to be pumping out more other, like a variety of different barrel aged stuff, or where is it sort of like Noah was asking where it was going? Like, what other type of stuff would you be doing?
So right now we have a beer on the way that's currently measuring that we blended a couple of barrels from a yeast blend we particularly liked, which gave it a mushroomy, damp aroma taste, and we added some miel brut, so raw honey from a mielerie in Lac Saint-Jean.
Cool.
So it's going to be all January, and maybe it be distributed somewhere in June when it's ready.
Nice. How many barrels are you guys sitting on now?
We use 500 liters barrels, so like punch-ins. We have about 10 right now.
Nice.
For the white stuff, we have 12 spirits barrels.
Okay. Are you looking to expand that or get a Fudo or anything like that?
It's the opposite. We used to have almost 150 barrels a year and a half ago, and it was just too big for us, too much space, and we didn't have enough time to manage it. So we decided to reduce the number of beers we made and scale it down and just do more quality, better beers out of them with more love to them.
Gotcha.
I think that's a good approach because you
Yeah.
do see a lot of breweries who are just pumping out these barrel-aged beers, and sometimes they're mediocre, sometimes they're just infected, or there's just something off with them. So taking that approach is smart, where you can really concentrate on making those beers exactly how you want them. And because I mean, if you don't have the time to do it, then why do it? I mean, that's a good approach for sure.
Yeah.
So that's actually why we went down from maybe half the size we had before in barrels. So,
Yeah, that's a good idea. You're right, though. I feel like there's it must be a total different thing to manage, and you probably have to check it, and it's a whole different skill set to know whether it's doing okay. And then you've got to do the blending, and then how many barrel releases can the market sustain per year? Even if you guys are doing super small batches, which is cool, and you can probably sell them for a premium, that they're not cheap, I guess. So at that point, then it is probably worth it, but still. It's I definitely respect the sort of slow scaling up, like as the time permits and maybe the staff permits, you got more people, you're able to sort of expand that. But hey, right now, the fact that I mean, how many barrel-aged beers did you drop this year then? Was it many?
no idea.
No idea?
Yeah, no idea.
No idea?
I
Okay.
need to get a paper down and take some notes because I don't know.
Okay, that's good.
It's not that much. Last year, not that much, but we used to get like maybe 10 or 12 a year out.
Okay.
That was too much, yeah.
That was too much.
Just because we had to pour, maybe rush some beers, and then at some point you would have. We are a very small team, like we have 7 people on the team, so at the factory. So we don't when a beer is ready to be blended, you might not have the time to do it at that time. So
Right.
it's been an issue we've had. So that's one of the reasons we just decided to scale down and to have more less release and more time to plan them to get the best stuff we could out of the barrel program.
Okay. Did that apply to the non-barrel stuff as well? Like, have you changed the way that you release anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also part of the situation because it's the same team that makes the clean beers and the barrel beers. So when you make an IPA, that's going to take 3 weeks to make, and it just takes a lot of time to make sure it goes well. You can't just look another way and just do something else. You need to keep an eye on everything. So it's very important to focus on when you start something, you start a beer, get it done the way you want it to until the end.
Right. So it's, yeah, and I imagine as well, like, I was sort of asking that in the sense of during the pandemic, obviously it's affected every business differently. It seemed like the beer business was mostly hit, obviously, at a place like the pub that, you know, the in-house sales would have gone to zero, obviously. But then people still seem to be drinking a lot. So I was curious as to sort of whether, you know, because of what's been happening this year, have you had to scale back or anything like that? Or did you have to ramp it up? Like, what's the sort of situation been for you guys as far as the way people have been purchasing?
So the brew pubs obviously been closed restaurant-wise and taproom-wise. We can't get any customers in to pour drinks or serve food. So we've been lucky to have a permit, a license that allowed us to get beer in cans and bottles and get them out to the brew pub. And for the factory in Dorchetown, we've lost the whole keg market.
Yeah.
So any restaurant bar sale, but fortunately it's been made up. Can sales, bottle sales. There's been a general increase in the whole market in to-go sales.
Right.
So it's been pretty even in terms of volume.
How is the keg? How were the keg sales? Because I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like in Quebec, in my experience, there's less restaurants that serve local beer than in places like Ontario and stuff. So, but maybe that's a Montreal thing and not a Quebec City thing. So I'm just curious, like, are there a lot of restaurants in the area that would buy kegs off you, or like was that actually like a relatively big part of your business?
It's a very keg-centric brewery, so we've had a minimal entry into that market, but it is your hunch is right. There's definitely a difference between like U.S. cities and Montreal as well, Ontario, in terms of how different bars approach craft breweries. Because it's harder to get in, and the customers seem to look for maybe more classical beer, maybe cheaper beer. I don't know, but there's a harder entry. There is some dozen bar that focus on craft breweries, but it's
Yes.
not as many as in Montreal.
Interesting.
But even in Montreal, I feel like it's not there. There aren't that many. But I'm guessing that's kind of changing more and more. But I just remember years ago going to Toronto and going to a relatively fancy restaurant, and I had like Great Lakes Pale Ale on tap. It's like, oh, this is amazing.
Oh, yeah,
because at home, it's Boreal. It was Boreal or it was Unibrew, or if we were lucky. Otherwise, it was just the regular macro stuff, and it was rare to see anything outside of that. I know, but I mean, I've been going to less restaurants in the last 5 years or so, so I'm sure it's been changing. But I always found in Montreal it wasn't great for that.
It's never been great here, man. And you're 100% right. Whenever we get it. Well, before all this, we're in Toronto like once a month because that's when my brother lives there. My girlfriend, Tiff's mom, lives there. And everywhere I go, there's always a half decent beer list. Always. It's almost, there's not quite like Vermont. Like I dare you to find a bad beer, but in Montreal, like we would go for special occasions to like a fancy, like a Joe Beef is good. They got stuff, but we went to
Even then, they don't have a bunch.
No, but they pair them with like when we went to Joe Beef. They at the time it was a big deal, but they had Le Castor Yakima when it was in bottles, and a bunch of other beers to pair with their stuff. We went to Pierre de Cochon, which is like owned by a famous chef. They had Saint Ambroise, they had McCausland on tap, and I got wine. I was like, I'm not dealing with this, and I was crazy disappointed because I feel like usually those type of restaurants where you're gonna end up with a $200 or $300 bill. They'll have Orval, they'll have, even Judy CL, they'll have something nice. So, but I definitely find that overall Montreal does not have that same dedication to craft beer that Ontario has. So, you are correct. Yeah,
it's a cultural thing, probably.
Yeah.
But it's interesting though because there's such a rich craft beer cultural thing in Quebec. You know what I mean? Even if you just look at Unibrew and like the history behind that, and that's been here since the '80s, and yet like you go to Pied Couchon, you can't even get Mitz Bond or whatever. It's odd.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like if there's a difference because you have a good wine selection and you have crappy beer, or you have awesome beer and you have kind of a okay wine selection, and it's really it's kind of rare the places where you can get both of them. Like
that's a good point.
Yeah,
it's kind of how I feel about from Quebec City and the place I goes around, and a place I really like for that. It's a friend of mine, which is the owner, is a Clandestin in Gatineau. It's kind of a cavist, and it just all awesome lambics. You have 3 lines, but always awesome stuff on those 3 lines, and you always have awesome wines and that kind of stuff. So this is a place where the taste drive everything, like the food, the alcohol, and everything. So I think it's where people are not people, but restaurants are kind of. There's a thing to upgrade,
Yeah.
And you did a collaboration with them this, and so did Cinquième Baron.
About to say, yeah.
Gamma My Gato.
Yeah.
Oh, that was with them. Yes, that was fire.
Yeah, it was great.
That was from the anniversary. Do you want to just touch on that? Because that was like the first pastry stout I'd had from you guys. It was like, Jesus Christ. It
was that your first pastry stout bottled? Period?
We had a Delicessence out. Beside that, there was a.
Oh yes, I had that. That's true.
Yeah, and one in the brew pub, Imperial Pastry Stout, but that was the first one in bottles.
Right.
The second one to be the shelves.
Yeah, that was with Nutella, not Nutella, but it was with hazelnut. The Delicessence, yeah.
That's sick. And I thought that Grand Maman Gâteau was very similar in the texture to the Coco Valin.
That was a freaking
Yeah,
nightmare, man.
we had that on when me and Noah were on a podcast. We both had it. We're like, yeah, let's make sure we drink that one. And I
Yeah,
was
you guys nailed that one on a
so
particular level.
good. Yeah,
Because like, you know, like Buck Canada, they're kind of like setting the standard now for the 10% big boy pastry stouts. I feel like they've been doing that for a couple of years. But I've had a couple of their lower ABV pastries, like the 7% range, and they're fine. But Coco Vallon was like, I feel like it was that perfect marriage. Like you still had head retention on it, and it was rich and luscious, but it wasn't too sweet. I really love that.
Same.
That was really...
Cool, thanks.
that was potentially
It's actually
gone.
So it's actually a good point you have. It's somewhere we're going in the next year. We're going to get a few more sweet stouts on the market, which are in the scale of the Coco Vallon, with a less wider variety of ingredients, more focused on a specific flavor, and just well-rounded and more drinkable, less sweet.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, it was just that one that blew our minds when we both had that. I think for the first time. Noah, was that right? When we had it together on that was like, yo, this is crazy. And then when it was like the next week, I had the Grand Maman, and that was it reminded me of just like a ramped up version of it. And there was a lot of similar characteristics, which is something that I like. It was like, it's another thing that comes back to like the IPAs that we were saying before. There's like an identifiable characteristic. They're very different. They're all very different beers, but I'm like, once again, I feel like if we did that one blind, I'd be like, oh, this is Brasserie Générale. Like, I feel like I could pick that in the same way that Noah picked the IPAs. And I think that's a really cool thing to be able to achieve that sort of familiarity without being the same. I think that's really speaks to, you know, Max, what you're brewing there, and you know what you guys are doing. It's phenomenal. I love it. Very cool.
Cool, thanks.
Do you want to bust out the Calculon?
Of course.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I've got
Good.
it's a big bottle at the bottom.
Yeah.
And
Gotta get our cork screws going.
is there a cork in it?
Yeah, there's a cork and a cap.
So you need a
Cantillon style.
woof. All right, fancy. I've been waiting for this one. Yeah, I think it needs a corkscrew. I didn't know about the cork now. That's good. Thank you so much. Thank you. Do you want to get the wine thing? See, there's a cork.
Yeah.
Just get the wine
Okay.
thing. Yeah, thank you.
Don't open it
Cool.
yet, though.
Oh wait. Let's see if you can.
Yeah, be careful, Craig. I don't want no incidents tonight.
You made this one.
Shut up. Oh, look at this.
Okay, look at this big boy.
Oh yeah. So this is the assemblage of the 7th anniversary. Thank you, baby. Your best blending stock, and Berliner Weiss aged in gin barrels. Look at me reading French and English, mate. I'm fluent. It has
Good.
citrus notes, floral, fucking. It's a little bit saline, like a little salty, and champignon, a little bit mushroomy.
Yeah.
A great potential of aging. Oh, you've got it in English right below it. Fucking hell. Idiot.
I think you're gonna love our future, English description of beer. They're pretty simple, really basic.
Do you know what? It doesn't matter though. I was reading, because even before I was reading off this, and I was reading the top thing explaining all the hops, and then I read right under it, and it was right there, and I didn't even think of it now that that's the case.
And champignon is not even a word. We often like to put the word on something you get in mind, and it's kind of funny. Champignon is not even a French word.
It's not okay. Just mushroomy.
Yeah, describes the beer perfectly.
Okay, that's hilarious. That's even funnier.
The Calculon thing.
So why did you guys do the? I mean, this is amazing. The cork and cap.
Just to piss off people.
Or it makes it an experience. No, look at this.
Oh,
Yeah, definitely. So the harder it is to put in the bottle, the better it's going to be when you get to pour it. So keep the suspense going.
Do you want to take a photo of that and popping it out? We're taking the photos as we go, so if I'm stuffing. Just so we used to take them at the end of all the bottles, right? Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow.
I just chipped the bottle.
Well, what do you... You got to use the automatic ones, Noah, mate. This is the... Ooh,
okay.
delightful.
Nice sound.
Yeah. Oh, the cork smells amazing. Ooh, shit. Okay, so this beer has been hyped up to me because Noah said it was one of the best beers he had this year. Oh my gosh, Tiffany, that is the glass it needs. I got the Hill Farmstead proper glass. I was about to do a little TQ. Get rid of that.
I got a little Breton Sauvage going.
Ooh, I like that.
Nice one.
Oh, we're saying fancy. Are you ready? Tell us a bit more. I know we spoke about this beer before, but tell us a bit while I'm taking stupid photos.
So
Okay,
well,
he's smile.
when we see some blend from our best stock, we just went around the whole barrel, the whole barrel room,
Okay.
tasting every barrel that was qualified to be blended.
Okay.
Just picked the real best we've had, and started blending it with other beers to see what kind of flavors we could get in. And
Okay.
then when we stumbled on the gin age burn of ice, we just said, like, this is it, and just loved it so much. The complexity, the wild aspect of the base beer, with the herbaceous citrony
Okay.
of the gin.
Yeah, I think that's what I loved about it too. Is it has this obviously it has this kind of like goose-like funk to it, which is lovely. But it also doesn't smell like a typical lambic or anything. But then you have that herbaceous thing, that gin, like juniper thing. But it's not intense. It's super just subtle.
Okay. Ooh, it's gorgeous. It's like a nice little bit opaque there. Got a wicked little foamy head, so I just taken a photo. I don't get to drink it yet. I'm just looking at it.
The saltiness that you describe in it, is it because there's like a goza mixed in, or is it just more just the perception of a saltiness?
No, it's just the perception, I think, or maybe
But it does have it.
the gin side, but it have like a salty, some things like that, with the citrusy and the freshness and then the little bit of damp. That right now I think the damp just disappear a little bit to let the place to the citrusy and the salty side.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's evolving really, really well.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's even better than it was before.
It is.
Yeah.
When we released it, it was kind of young, like 3 or maybe I think like 3 months bottle conditioning. But that type of product you wanted to taste it, and then you just decide, okay, it's ready, so let's just sell it, like as the lambic producers are doing.
Yeah, they usually sit on for a year.
Stacks of powders, and they taste it, and at some point they just, okay, this is ready. So they just put stickers on it and labels on it, and just sell it.
Oof.
So this is why our next one, made with raw honey, is we're going to take a little bit more time on this one, because the project you taste now in October is kind of different. It's more pinpoint, or it's more delicious. It's kind of.
Oof. Yeah, this is wild, man. This is
The
like
acidity is not too intense either, which I really enjoy. Like, it's there obviously, but it's got the same level of acidity that you would get out of like a Gers or something. It's not like an American sour that's just breaking my palate.
yeah,
I'm kind
bright.
of getting tired of, to be perfectly honest.
yeah, the enamel
So
stripping.
This is lovely.
Yeah, I feel you.
So it's 6.
We have a war on acidic acid, so like the vinegar side to the sour beers.
Yeah.
We just take it, so we get down to the minimum. There's a small amount of it is nice, like you get in the red Flanders.
Okay.
But we mainly want to avoid it as much as possible. Get more lactic acid, more citrus kind of profile in acidity.
Yeah, and I'm pretty biased on that. Like, not biased, but like I can appreciate it in a Flanders, but when I drink a beer like this, that's too much of an acidic profile, I tend not to like them as much.
Mm.
Whereas in this is, this doesn't. I don't have any of that vinegary notes
No.
at all. And like some breweries do it on purpose. Like I know, like Le Castor, he'll blend in a more oxidized like vinegar beer just to give it that level of complexity, which I can respect and appreciate. But at the end of the day, I prefer it wasn't there. If that makes any sense. There's just something about that vinegary profile that I find works in a maltier like Flanders Red kind of thing, but I don't love it in these in a beer style like this.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So I think Cantillon did great in the last years. Their beers were like much less acidic.
Yeah,
it's really nice to see going on such an old brewery.
Yeah, I mean you get it a little bit in like Rosé de Gambrinus or whatever, but in the Gerzes and stuff, I haven't noticed it too much. But yeah, it's always been there a little bit.
Would you say this is this supposed to be like a Guz style or a lambic style? Excuse my ignorance on the matter.
Neither, I guess.
Yeah.
Either? Okay.
It's more like a flavor-driven beer, like from blending stock. And maybe there's more like a lambic, identity in that beer. But we, as Hugo said, we just spent like an hours or two or three maybe blending, sampling and trying different blends and identifying, the best, barrels. And we just decide to celebrate our 7th anniversary, really well and doing like an awesome beer with the best stuff we find.
That's so
good. It's not a gauze, it's not a lambic. It's kind of just a flavor-driven product.
I love that. That's amazing.
So who's the big Futurama fan that came up with the name?
I don't know, man. Sometimes it's me. I'm often behind, the names and the branding. It's funny right now because me and Hugo are, driving the new labels with Romain, and I think we have a lot of fun, going through that process. But sometimes you just just live and you get an idea and you get like, oh shit, okay, this beer is that name and it's that concept, and kind of it blows your mind. And that drive, the Calculon thing is kind of it was a golden sour ale, and I was thinking about the golden color. Yeah. And I was thinking about Calculon, some rubber that is like a Hollywood star and golden metallic thing, and the green is just the green that we have at the pub on the wall, and I was like, okay, golden green, this is fucking awesome, and we just shoot that and then bring that in, and we were like, oh, it's something like that. We shoot it to Romain, and we kind of love the moment, go through its, ideas, and often we are like, we like it. The dynamic is just freaking awesome, and I think it's important for the customer to feel it.
Yeah.
That's
it was funny because the name, I was like, because I haven't watched Futurama in like a decade, so I was like, I know that name, Calculon.
Sounds about right.
I know that. I'm like, wait, is that a Futurama reference? And then I'm like, no. And then I'm looking at the label, and then I see like the hand. I was like, oh.
What was the thing? Because I didn't see it.
So I don't know if you've ever seen Futurama, but
I know what it is.
There's
But
this character who's the like reoccurring character who's like the big actor. He's like this Shakespearean robot actor.
Okay.
So like if you could imagine, I don't know, like Kelsey Grammer or something.
Gotcha.
But but as a robot.
Is he like
old,
Bender's friend?
He always plays like these ridiculous roles. And his name's Calculon. And and if you look at the label, obviously for copyright reasons they don't just put a picture of Calculon, but like you see like the arms, like those are his hands.
And like an antenna or something at the bottom there. Okay, I get it.
It's like a modern sculpture of Calculon, actually.
What's that?
It's like a modern sculpture of Calculon.
Yes, exactly.
Sculpture. No, I love that. That's awesome. That's even funnier because I remember Noah mentioned that in the group chat with the other boys, and he was like, "Yo, I think that's a Futurama thing." So it's good that you called it, but that's good that you also did the. Oh, that's what he looks like.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like that you didn't go for the copyright, the cease and desist label.
I mean, I don't know if that's why you did it, but I
love it. Just send the letters.
Yeah, right. I feel like a lot of breweries don't give a shit. They're just like, yeah, let's just do it. And if you get the thing. Oh, someone had a question actually. They said, "Is there any Calculon left? Like, can people still buy this beer?"
No, actually, okay. I think there's a cool hidden spot where some magnums are resting, really tranquil. But it's supposed to be a secret,
Okay, so we can't say nothing.
But,
some special
they-
release
they-
one day.
Yeah, but it's so few. So there's like just a bunch of them. So it's kind of I think that we reserve for the restaurants or that kind of stuff. So
Will you ever
because
bring? Sorry, go ahead.
magnums were made to celebrate, together. But we got this COVID thing. But the Calculon is gonna go through time. So we just made a bunch of magnums because we like them.
Yeah, why
They're
not?
not
And
going bad.
the COVID thing is gonna end at some point, and after that, the next summer we're just gonna bang some magnums everywhere and celebrate together.
I love that. Will this beer exactly as is ever come back? Do you think, or it's kind of a one and done type of situation?
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
We can ask officer sales, but there's no
It'd be
plan.
kind of hard though, no? Because
Yeah.
wasn't it like a
It's a blend.
particular blend of your
Yeah.
blending stock, or was it something you could recalculate?
Ooh.
Calculon.
I see what you
You
did
can
there.
get something kind of like it, but the thing is about making mixed fermentation beer and barrels is that your job as a brewer is to give a head start or like a base for the beer to like the beer wort and the mixed culture you get in it, and then you just let it go on, ferment, do its stuff, and follow it. And then you don't know exactly how it will turn out. But what you do best is you see what you made and then you blend it into a good product like this one.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
So the Calculon, what made us fall in love with the best blending stock part of the blend is that we had a yeast blend from a lambic producer
Mhm.
that usually takes like 2-3 years to get really well balanced and good. And when we tasted the barrel after like 14 months, we just fell in love with the beer in the barrel at that point. It was just so good, so well balanced and strong in flavors and no aftertaste. So we decided to use it and blend it with something else. So we
Right.
can't make the same beer, exactly the same beer. But
Oof, I guess that's the beauty of this type of beer, I guess, because it's a once in a lifetime experience to a degree for it to be exactly like this, which is sad but also amazing when you get to try this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, blending is kind of an art, guys like that own Tilke,
Yeah.
just it is his job, to blend beer and to know that this beer is gonna be almost the same year after year and evolving through this. But there's brewing and there's blending. It's kind of two different things, absolutely. And on the blending stock, we kind of have a different approach. Me and Hugo are like driving the things together, but it's kind of a new thing for us, and we kind of it's driven by the taste. But seeing this beer right now and the moment we just blend the stuff, it's kind of freaking awesome how different the things are.
Right.
And right now we just can't imagine how the beer will turn, but it's just more awesome.
More awesome. I love it. Is it worth discussing in a little more detail, like the actual blending process? Like, is that interesting? Because I don't know a lot about it personally, and I imagine it's a pretty subjective and kind of like, do we like this? Is this blend? Like, how does that kind of work? Like, do you like what is the actual? Do you pull a bunch of stuff out of different barrels and you put them in glasses and you're like, all right, 25%, 25%, blah blah, swirl it. That's not bad. Okay, let me try. You know what I mean? Like, what's that? What does that look like?
So far, our process that we use in the Calculon and what we were going to use in the future is we first determine what kind of beer we're going to make, what type of flavors we want to get into, or like the alcohol-wise, color-wise, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we taste what we have in stock. And if any barrel is off and doesn't taste good or smell good, we just discard it for now.
Okay.
It's not ready or it's not good to blend. And then we keep everything that's good and fits to the profile we want. And if we have something that's maybe you don't want to blend any bad parts into the blend, bad beers into the blend, but sometimes you can get. It's surprising how you can blend a particular beer that doesn't have a taste that you're looking for, and then when you just tone it down a bit, a strong flavor in a part of the blend, tone down with another part, would just make something pop off you wouldn't think was beyond there.
Okay.
So the process is mainly figuring out what's good to use and then where you want to take it. Acidity wise, you have the flavors, the aromas, and the funk in it as well.
Right. And it's just about finding that. Like, are you when you go into the blending process, are you looking for something, or are you just kind of like, let's just see what happens?
But
Both. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess making this beer, you knew you were looking for. Obviously, you're taking some beer from a gin barrel, so you're like, okay, well, we're going to have herbs and spices and botanicals in that one. Plus, it's a Berliner, so you're already going to get a bit of tart, a little bit funky probably. Then you've got your other stuff, so you knew it was going to be based on that. So it was really just finding that sort of mix. That was
So with the Calculon, what we wanted to do is to get a golden sour, so a fairly sour beer. It wasn't too acidic, very light in color, and we wanted to be complex on various stages of the. If you take a sip, you get just one big punch, then it falls down. You get a sip, you get some part of this, and then it just evolves to other flavors. This took. So that's what we wanted to do. So when we got the gin barrels into the blend, it just make the beer so much more complex with all the herbs and the spices they use in the gin.
right.
Yeah, and I think I said it earlier, but what's so amazing is that it's just subtle, right? Like it's not I don't mind a dominating gin flavor when sometimes it's fun to get punched in the face with juniper berries, but that's not this at all. Like this is. No. It's like it's just there in the background, like you said. It just like those layers of complexity. You're like, okay, well, what's going on? At first, you would sip it, you might not even place it, and then over time, you'd be like, okay, I think I'm getting some kind of herbal notes here. Like it's not, because usually anything gin, it's like it's so obvious immediately.
Yeah.
And it is there, but it's not in your face at all. It's just well integrated.
Yeah.
That's where the blending part comes in, really.
Yeah.
You get to pick how much you want to make into each product, and when we do the blending, when we figured out which barrels we want to use, we then do small tweaks up and down on each portion, and sometimes you could just move like 5% of one part into the other, and it just changes the whole profile completely.
So,
that's interesting.
It's a fun process.
Yeah,
right.
I can imagine. I'd love to take part one day. That'd be
yeah,
awesome.
But blending, that's actually a great point, Noah, because that's something that I feel like it's like, even in collabs, it's not even really like there's like a very small bunch of people who really ever get to do that. Like a lot of people, hey, I'm pouring hops in a fermenter or some shit, but like.
But you know who kind of took that on another level is Small Pony, because he was Sean was hosting these.
I remember
these Sunday things where you get to, like, I think you'd pay like, I don't know, $50 or something, and
it was more. It was like $100 for the day. Yeah.
And you got to blend your own beers. And then you got to take them home with you. So I thought that was such a fun idea. I didn't
awesome.
do it. But yeah, like you go for the afternoon, you blend your own beers, and maybe they turn out to be nasty, and maybe they're not. But like he takes them, and he I don't know what he does. I don't know if he like force carbonates them. I don't know what he does. But then you get to take them home and try them after. So that was a fun idea.
Yeah, I like that. He was telling us about that program too. It's a really fun type of thing, and I feel like it's because it's like what you said. Like no one really gets to do that type of stuff, and I feel like it's almost like it's such a subjective art maybe because it's sort of everyone's as opposed to just regular brewing where you just brewing some stuff up and it's pretty standard. You know for the most part what you're going to get. Like the blending is this whole other world where like 5% will make the difference between a good beer and a great beer type of thing. Like just small tweaks and changes. It's actually fascinating, really.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, Hugo, like as far as like you never know, you might have this pretty boring beer, but you add that to an intense beer, and all of a sudden you've got this crazy flavor that you never thought would even would sort of mix. So I feel like this beer was absolutely not oversold. Noah, your rants about how fire it was was certainly accurate. It's exceptional. I don't really drink stuff like this often enough, so it's nice to sort of have something as well, and even just the small thing, and just having a cork in there, just like, oh, this is an event. This is not just cracking a beer. Like,
there's a reason why they had a big Cantillon poster in their brew pub back there. So I figured it was a little influence from them. Double.
Been there once, But the funny thing is that me, Hugo, and Eric from Clandestin went to Jester King like 2 summers ago. So I think
so. Right when Spawn was coming out, around that.
No, there was a couple stunts a couple of years after, yeah. But we got a lot of influence there, Jester King is just, an awesome place to be and to stay. So we just been there for like 3 days in a row and just spend our afternoon and, spending like $100, 100, cost out a lot. But, Jester King was an awesome experience for us, and the cork is part of the thing. But the next beer coming too with raw honey. I think the idea came from the it's called Honey Estate. It was a beer that that amazed us. It was a fresh lambic made with like raw honey, and we just kind of blows our mind. Everyone, so. Just for us was a big influence into the process of doing blending stock and just trying to focus on on the flavor driven thing, just not like goes or lambic. It's kind of more flavor driven and respect the process and respect the product.
Yeah, that could be the episode name, flavor driven. I like that.
Flavor driven. I'm
gonna write it down before I forget. Do you like that one? Do you like that? Just because if otherwise gonna come up with some bullshit later, so I'd rather do that one. No. Go. Someone gonna say something? Sorry, I thought someone said so, and I thought I interrupted. No.
Oh, so it's sold. Flavor driven.
Oh, sold. Boom. Done. That's what it is. Yeah. No, this is fantastic. What else did I want to cover? As far as the honey one and these other barrel aged stuff, is there anything expected anytime soon, or that's going to be 6 months plus away? Like everything's a little while.
6 months is soon.
Is soon. Okay. All right. So it's going to be a while.
That's true.
That's soon.
We want another bottle release next week. Okay.
Beer people are thirsty. Come on, guys.
So we have the raw honey beer that's coming, that's bottling in January, so it's going to be released somewhere between maybe April to October.
Okay.
Depends. We do want to make maybe 1 or 2 fruited sours early in the winter, so maybe they'll come out roughly in the same time, maybe like April, May to the end of summer.
Okay.
But we did rework a whole new aspect of our blending program, so it's going to get to maybe like 4 to 6 release a year. But we just want to take a good 6 to 9 months from the point we said, okay, let's make a beer with this profile, then choosing, blending, bottling, aging, and then releasing. That process is going to take like maybe 6 months minimum. So we need maybe almost a year to get it going and be able to release 6 beers a year with that process in mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think we really touched on this, but what I think is pretty awesome. And sorry, I don't mean this just to be like I'm just going to praise you this entire time, because I'm sure I can probably find some form of criticism or something. But what I particularly like about what you guys are doing is that you have something like this, which is a mixed fermented blended barrel aged sour. And then you're also just jumping on the smoothie train and the pastry stout train and the hype stuff too. And anyway, it's what I'm enjoying about what you've been doing over the last couple of years is it's one thing to just concentrate solely on what's hyped and what's trending and then perfect that, because that's not easy either. And I'm not I enjoy it. We talked to Derek at Brewski last week, and that was an amazing, awesome experience. Just hearing him talk about smoothies for basically 2 hours, and it brought a whole new respect to the whole thing for me. It was on another level. But what you guys seem to be doing is it's so tiered. There's so many levels to it. You have your bigger production brewery. You have your smaller brew pub. You're experimenting there. You're touching on everything, and you're doing it well. That's not easy. To produce Calculon, which is better than most blended barrel aged sours I've had in Quebec.
Yeah.
There are exceptions, but and then to be able to do solid haze, and now you're having fun with smoothies, which I haven't tried yet, but we have one to try, and the pastry stouts, and everything that I've had from you guys has always been, it's been it never really attacks my senses, if that makes any sense. There's always just a nice roundness to it. I'm not going to say a simplicity, but I guess just a balance. Even your stouts, when you crack open a Bourbon County or something, and you're just punched in the face with bourbon and the sweetness or whatever, and it's this just intensity. But even Pêché bourbon or whatever, there's a certain intensity, and with your stouts, it was a little bit more subtle. And some people might be I wish I had a more punch, but for me, that's often the stuff that I'm seeking out more these days, if that makes any sense. How round is it? How is it? How does it just kind of function as a beer? I don't need to be punched in the face all the time. Sometimes I like to have that more full complex thing, and I've noticed that you guys have been doing a good job with that. And your IPAs aren't green and they're not in your face, which some people want, and I want that sometimes too. Your IPAs tend to be slightly sweeter, but more round, and I actually really like that too. So anyway, I'm ranting, but all this to say, your beers suck. I'm sorry.
Happens. So it's the thing we gotta talk about a lot is that there's definitely a big punch aspect to the pastry styles and the smoothies and stuff like that. But I think what we say there's a balance in intensity. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense, but that's kind of how we see it. So if you get
I feel that's what you were actually doing, which.
Yeah. So a pastry sauce is going to be sweet, it's going to be very intense flavors, but you want to get all the components, and you don't want to end up with just a syrup in the bottle. You just want to get something that's enough bitter and just rounded off flavors to get through the bottle, or at least to share.
And that's kind of key too, and I think that's what often happens when you crack these bottles, right? So you crack this bottle from a hype brewery, or even if it's not, you pour it out, you take 3 sips, and you're like, holy shit, this is crazy, yeah. This is amazing, I love this, and then you get 9-10 sips in, and you're like, okay, I'm done, right? And
right,
and then
you just said it, man. You said 3 sips, and it's actually the 3 first and the more important, but you have a glass to drink after that.
Yeah.
So I think it's the main thing. You can get punched in the face by something for the first 3 sips, and after that you have to finish your glass, and this is where balance is important. So I think for us, this is the side we want to work. It's getting all the ingredients. It's important. Getting about the pastry stouts, about getting the sweetness, getting the ingredients, a little bit of bitterness to balance all that sweetness and that intensity. But it's a stout, so it have to taste a little bit roast or something chocolate or something coffee behind. It's not just like if you put some dark malt at the end of brewing process to make it look dark but not taste like a stout. So it's all on every product. It's kind of the aspect of balance that is important. Even on IPAs, we have to get some bitterness. Personally, I don't really like it when it's too candyish or too upburn, but the mix of two is kind of like my way to go beer. I like a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of candy, but a little bit of upburn. But if it's too much of one of each element, I kind of not enjoy the beer.
Yeah, and I think that's what I appreciate about like the first time I tried Riverbère. I did not know what to expect, and I cracked it, and it was just kind of this pleasant surprise of like, okay, this isn't trying to be too much of anything, and it was kind of refreshing because you drink like Masorum or something. Generally, well, they do so many variants of New England IPAs, obviously, but a lot of them are pretty dry and sharp. And then you have like some of the newer guys, like not that I want to name a bunch of names, but like Sir John, and a few others where it's even on a whole other level of sharp greenness.
Okay.
And it's so it's like there's this big astringency to it, right? Which can be fun sometimes, especially if like you match that astringency with like a heavier malt profile or something like that. But what I don't know, what I really appreciated was for Riverbère was just like the roundness of it, and was just like, oh, this is just it's totally drinkable. It has a certain sweetness to it and richness to it that I think some people might be like, oh, I want a drier IPA, but I kind of appreciated that the fact that it wasn't trying to be something that was old school, but it wasn't trying to be something that was burning my tongue with hop burn either. Like it was somewhere in the middle, and it worked perfectly.
At some point, I'm the first customer of our brew pub, so I kind of enjoy the beer I like. I like to brew. Is the beer I like to drink. So this is the main of the brew pub, and for us, the big challenge is to bring those those recipe and those balance to our bigger factory. And so this is kind of a big challenge. And about we're working really hard on that part. It's not that simple. It's not like if you just made like you take that recipe and you just add 3 times the amount of ingredients. It's kind of a really hard part of the job, and this is a fun challenge.
There is in the detail, so that's what makes it hard.
For sure.
So in the complete opposite spectrum, sorry to cut you off.
No, go for it.
I got to try. I think how you had it written was an I don't know if it was American lager or American light lager or something along those lines. I really love that beer, and I'm curious: are you guys gonna start doing like a pills and start going down that lager trend? And what's
I was gonna ask that. Glad. Look at Noah.
It's definitively part of our the next year in the next year we're gonna brew more like the Common Clean, which is the lager you're talking about. Which is an American lager made with maize. Is it maize or corn? I don't know. And the basmati rice, but made with like nuggets and which is the Willamette, but local hops. It's kind of a really crisp, really easy.
It was really
drinkable.
sharp. It had like a pretty intense bitterness, that one, I remember. But I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was dialed down, but it
So you've
dialed
done.
down the bitterness from that batch.
Mhm.
This was like a dry hop lager or just like a craft?
No, it's not. It's just a basic lager,
Okay.
and no dry up. Just more like they are different part where we can work with hop. At late boiling or in dry up or at the bitterness level. So the about the Common Clean is just like an easy drinkable beer. Personally, we like big IPAs, big sweet and stout and higher alcohol beers. But when it comes to easy drinking beer, I'm kind of really like a lager guy or a Hefeweizen guy.
Hmm.
I don't really enjoy session IPAs because I don't
Me
personally
neither.
don't believe in that type. When I want to drink IPA, it's gonna be a real IPA. When I'm between, I need an Hefeweizen or a lager. Just kind of. So about the factory, we can scale up the Common Clean, which is the American lager, and the Levi's, which is an Hefeweizen inspired by a beer. It's called Noah Blanche. I don't know if you ever said it. You ever tasted? Sorry.
Don't think so.
What's it called?
Noah Blanche. It's kind of a beer that's made. It's kind of a signature beer from de Beaupré for the past 7 or 8 years. But to me, I worked there for like almost 5 years, and every summer, I just had to drink that beer like a lot because it was made to drink during summer and the heat. So
Right.
I had to do like different version of a perfect beer, I think. So the Louvain is kind of one of that beer made with Camus and a different twist, but in the same style. So Common Clean guys are going to produce in bigger volume at the BG factory in the next year. So it's coming the next weeks.
Nice.
Nice. I like that. I want to just echo Noah everything you were saying. I appreciate everything about you guys that you do all of the above. Like you still do the classic stuff. You still do the Hefeweizen and a bunch. You've got your classic line still, the Floreal and things like that. But then you're able to do these like crazy barrel aged blends, and you can do a fucking fight. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even like triple IPAs really. I don't really like anything too boozy. That was like delicious. It was so balanced.
really
It didn't burn my face off. Like I was like, this is what I'm talking about. And the fact that you guys, like Noah was saying, you're able to do pastry stouts, you're able to do smoothies, you do the trendy stuff, you do the other stuff. Where does that come from? It's an interesting thing that, as Noah and I, Noah's been co-hosting a lot with me, and we're speaking to a lot of breweries all the time, and I find that people are typically one side or the other. They're like straight purists, or they're like, hey man, I'm down for anything, but it's usually the ones that do the trendy stuff don't do the other things that you guys do. So where does that come from? What made you want to do a smoothie and an Oreo stout and a triple IPA, but then do a Hefeweizen and a lambic style beer? Like, it's not very common to see that, and on top of that, done very, very well.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a word between me and Hugo. We kind of
Say war.
we are.
You had to say war or work.
No, we are.
Oh,
Okay.
It's a war between me and Hugo.
Yeah, and I was like, okay.
That's kind of
I'm sorry,
odd.
because my English is really broken. During the COVID, I haven't
Or the
practiced my
mic.
English for months, I think. But I think it came from me and Hugo. We form a duo. So we kind of Hugo have his history, and I have my history as a brewer. And I'm more creative, and he's more like pragmatic, I think. And we kind of together work really well. So we have a lot of versatility, So I think to me it came from there for
Okay.
BG.
That makes sense. I have a very important question. is a smoothie sour a beer, or is it not a beer?
Was I expecting that one? You know?
It's apparently the most debated thing right now. Like everyone is either like all for it and they love it, or like aggressively against it to the point they're yelling on the internet every day about them. And people, Noah and I have a bunch of friends, and typically Noah and I disagree on stuff like this, but he's team smoothie. Obviously, I'm team smoothie because I like fun in life. And Noah doesn't always like fun, but now he's on my side.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
You have IPAs to be bitters, so.
Yeah, Noah like, ugh, disgusting. Am I right?
So,
but yeah, so is it beer?
The obvious answer is no.
Okay.
Smoothies are the beer. Technically, because there's so much sugar and fruit in it, that's actual fruit in it. So to me, it's not directly a beer. We make it based from a beer, but we just blend fruits into a beer that's a sour beer. And that's keep the fruit into the beer, and we just make sure it's well blended, and it just gives the impression of a smoothie. So it's more like a beer cocktail, like for us. That's why we won't be making smoothies and then shelving into the stores and just advocate that a beer is better than a good pilsner. So it's just a whole new range of product that's different from a lager, an IPA, a stout, or whatever you can just make when you make beer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
That's what I've heard before. Another brewer here in Montreal, who's a traditional dude, he's like, I don't hate them, but it's not beer. Because it's not beer at all. And that was one of the first times he said exactly that. It's because it's a beer cocktail, because it's beer mixed with unfermented fruit juice, just like a mixologist, like a bartender would make. And I was like, so that's a good point. But I wasn't too sure, because at first I'm like, yeah, of course it's a beer. And then now I definitely understand it. For the smoothie, Noah, if you move your head, people can see the one that you've done now. In Noah's gorgeous photo right there in his background. If you guys are listening to the audio, definitely check the video. That specific one, 2 questions. 1, was that your first smoothie? And 2, what was the fruit volume per liter?
Okay, basically it was like a month ago.
That was the first one.
It was strawberry and raspberry.
Nice.
So the beer was good. It was really fresh. It has the fruit aromas and all that stuff, but the texture wasn't there. Okay. So basically, just right after that, the next week we just made a blueberry, 100% blueberries, made with United States blueberries and Lac Saint Jean blueberries. Nice. That we just blend right at the factory. We add some lactose and vanilla to it, but it was kind of freaking almost gross, kind of
chunky.
It was
because you blended it yourself, like you blended the fruit.
Yeah.
You didn't get puree. You just blended it. Wow. Okay.
No, we do that sometime, and it was cool. The flavor was there, but the texture wasn't there.
Okay.
So right after that, the next week we just made a pineapple and a mango.
Yeah,
mango.
A mango, yeah. A mango, but we made our own, mango, puree, and this one was just really awesome. It was just the texture was there, the aromas, everything was there. So it was just awesome. And this week, we have the double raspberries, the black and red raspberries.
So excited for that.
A little bit of vanilla. So it just add the vanilla, just add a little bit of kind of roundness, sweetness to support all that, that acidity and that, came from the raspberries. So it's just blending stock. It's easy to adjust at the level you want. And after that, you just have to respect, all those, the spec you've just made. Like we put a lot of fruit into those beers, so it's kind of beer cocktail,
Right.
Almost half an hour, So it's not beer.
You remember the percentage of fruit that you put?
Pretty much close to half an hour.
Shit, eh? Okay, so that's a
Pretty much.
lot.
So close to. It's not.
Close to, it's not. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
And
that
so
that's
you
insane.
brew like a Berliner with a relatively high alcohol percentage, and then you add the fruit to balance that. So what's the percentage of the black raspberry one? Like at the end, like once it's blended.
4.5, 5%.
Okay.
Much.
Yeah, it's like for 400 grams per liter, but in a liter you really have like 400 grams, and you have like 600 grams of beer. It's kind of that stuff. So
Okay.
it's
But then
half
the new
now.
factor for smoothies is how much fiber you're taking when you drink beer.
Yo, that's
Yeah.
an interesting point because I always kind of feel it in my I feel it in my guts the next day. I had one last night and I woke up today and I had to go straight to the bathroom, and I just thought it was like I had too much beer or something, or I had something weird for dinner. But
No,
maybe
you just
it's
ate 37 fruits.
yo, I never thought of
It's like
that.
87 strawberries that night. Yeah,
Oh,
the shit's good for you. That's like I
Yeah.
had one after work the other day. I'm like, fuck, I feel.
Yeah, actually, if you drink a growler or smoothie, you kind of have 3 servings of fruits.
Per day.
Like
oh
5 or
shit.
10 a day. But if you drink a whole liter, you have 3 servings of fruits. So it's kind of freaking awesome.
That's pretty
If you after
good.
the 50 calories beer, you have the smoothies with a full
Yeah.
serving of fruit.
You guys are dietitians now. This is beautiful. Breweries are just
Can you get some spinach in the next one?
yeah, that'd be great. Maybe some celery, cucumber.
I can see their eyes just thinking, like, hey, can we
Like,
do
oh
this?
fuck,
Just
can we-
some kale, yeah.
Max, write it down. Collab.
Yeah.
I'm down. A celery
Protein
smoothie, celery and cucumber smoothie. Let's fucking go. Kale. Woo.
We've been joking around a couple of years ago about making a tzatziki goes with cucumber.
Woo. It's a Siki
With garlic? Are you gonna put garlic?
Why not? You know,
Oh man.
let's get black garlic to make it fancy. You know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
so down for that. Yo, I never thought of that. That is like, I always find that when I have the smoothie, I've been drinking more smoothies lately, fortunately, because they're fucking fire. And because everyone's so angry about them, it makes me want to drink them more. So,
Yeah.
like, I just want to, like, yeah, fuck you guys. It's talking shit about this fire-ass beer. And,
That's what it calls.
Beer
Right?
cocktail.
Beer cocktail, sorry. Like, everyone keeps saying that, so I feel like nobody's trying to pretend that it's beer. So that's cool. That's cool. But I never thought of, like, you've actually blown my mind tonight that it's the fiber in the volume of fruit that affects your stomach. So if I'm not too drunk by the time we finish tonight, I'm going to crack the other one to give it give it a go.
Yeah,
'Cause
you can keep it for tomorrow morning. You can just
just wake up like, ah!
Yeah,
It's the new hangover beer.
I mean, your morning is 1 p.m. anyway. I mean,
Yeah, I was actually thinking, when you said morning, I was like, yeah. Hey, man, I have a different lifestyle, okay? I don't have to be...
You guys want to do the stout?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
course.
I'm ready.
I'm gonna go
okay.
pee.
Yes, go
Good.
pee. Could you put the
Yeah.
stopper in that? Put that in the fridge and then get the can of the stout, please?
Mhm.
Thank you so much. So you guys were so kind as this particular stout. Can I say that the other cans that Noah and I have, are they the only cans that exist?
But I think we can consider it for the future because we are in a situation where people can't share like big bottles, but we have to go on smaller smaller size beer
Yeah.
and that type of product. But this is why we made you kind of custom beers because getting into a 750 milliliters beer, it's kind of
It's
pretty hard
After this.
at like 10 or 11% of alcohol, and after a triple IPA, and a whole bottle of Calculon, it's kind of a rough situation.
Yeah, it's a big ask. I really appreciate that, and I think there's a lot to be said. Thank you so much. There's a lot to be said about this package format. Here we go. Like looking at it like this, it's so super sexy. I like the size, and it's kind of perfect that the bottle, because it says 750 ml on it, so actually it even shows you that. But I first of all, I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for doing that. That's super sick, because then the last thing I want to do with your beers is fucking waste them. I would have been like, Tiff, can you please help me? But I would not waste them either way. But I like this format for these ones, because this is my beer now. Like, I don't have to be like split it with somebody. I can drink a 10% stout and not have to get rid of it or anything like that, you know. So I definitely think, I was actually thinking, do you know what? Speaking of that, is when I cracked the triple IPA, I was like, I've never seen a triple IPA in a 355 or 330 format before.
Yeah, for us it's kind of an irony, because at the pub we were always doing in like 355 milliliters, cans. But we kind of decided to make a switch to the general size for craft breweries, which is the 473 milliliters. Yeah, but we began that with the triple IPA at 10% alcohol. So this is basically kind of an irony,
Yeah.
because we do easy drinking beer into smaller cans, and we just.
10%
bigger cans in the triple IPA. But I think it's just a question of timing, it's kind of that situation.
Yeah, man. I never thought of it like that. That's actually fucking hilarious, is that you see lagers in this size, a 5% lager, but then you're going to get a 10% triple IPA in this size at all times. Like, that is hilarious. But in your defense, I've never ever seen a triple IPA in this size. I've seen a few.
That I have either.
Yeah, I've seen a few stouts.
The Nightcrawler, the collaboration between Bacanada and
Oh yeah.
It was in 355.
It was Vox Populi.
I didn't get that one.
Yeah,
that was in small cans. Okay, sick. So, but the point is though that's pretty rare.
That one, but it was in small can.
Okay.
I also heard it wasn't very good.
No, it wasn't very good. Seriously,
that's a shame.
It just wasn't there.
Triple IPAs are hard, man. Like, to be in their defense, I mean, triple IPAs are a really tough beer to make, to be super palatable and drinkable, and like like you were saying earlier, with the booze, with the volume of hops, with the malt balance, But yeah, this is very much appreciated. So this particular beer, Double Dip, this is a brand new one that just released today. With tell us about it. So it's an imperial stout, a pastry stout with a shit, from what I can tell, because there's no English on this one now, but Adjunct massif, a shit ton of Oreo.
That means a very little bit.
Just un petit peu. Cacao, cocoa, vanilla, and Madagascar vanilla, and our good friend lactose. Nothing is complete without lactose. Noah's favorite. No? Are you guys team lactose?
No, you can make a good beer, a complex beer without lactose, but in that kind of stuff, on the sweeter side, on the dessert side, you have to, I think, put lactose into it.
It's important.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
I want to ask about, because I've had Oreo beer before, but only like once, and there was an awesome saltiness to it. How does that?
Which one?
I haven't sipped this yet, but how does it play into this? Because I'm guessing a lot of the salt from those cookies.
Oh yeah,
through in the bit.
That's a good point.
Okay. Yeah, but it's the first time we work with a product that is so much transformed. Like Oreos. It's kind of everybody knows what Oreos are made of, cream and the biscuit and that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty transformed element. But sometimes you can have some of, maybe, I don't know, of flavor, but different kind of flavors from a non-natural element.
Right.
it's
You
not
like
like
flat.
if you work with cacao and with hazelnut and with vanilla, you work with biscuit that is made with kind of oil and sugar and kind of have a list of ingredients that it's kind of really long. So I think it came from that personally.
Okay.
Interesting.
Because there's going to be fat in this beer from the cookies.
That's a good point.
To be honest, I'm
The
really
head
surprised
retention on
the
yours
head
is
retention,
something.
Yeah. It's not looking too oily, though. Like, it's looking pretty good. I didn't get a huge head retention, but I poured it pretty slowly just for the photos.
Could also
It does drop down fast.
It drops fast. Okay. Well, first of all, get it in you.
Yeah. You really get the cookie in it.
Nice.
So
I don't want to get.
Sorry?
So I don't want to oversimplify the beer, but when you take a sip of this, what you really get is it's like if you crack down a raw cookie into two, took the cream side, and just poured beer when you ate it. It's pretty much how it feels like.
Keep sipping. Ooh. Mm. Wow.
Do you use? How'd you do it? Did you crumple up a bunch of? Did
Yeah.
you just buy the? Is it both the creamy and the Oreo, or is it just the Oreo bits?
It's basically just like chunk of Oreos, and we just circulate beer through the cookies, and then we add the cacao and the vanilla to make the element going up to balance the cacao and the vanilla. So we just work with too much cookies. Basically the cookies are like drinking beer, so we just lost a lot of volume to that process.
Yeah, I bet.
But it's
did you eat them
flavor
after just to
beer.
try and save?
Yeah, I tried it and it was pretty awesome. I just like collect like a liter or two of cookies made with imperial stout, and I just give them to my my cooks, and I said to them like, yeah, just make brownies out of it. It must be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It was just like Oreos with imperial stout.
That's a good idea.
Kind of moldy thing, and just make brownies out of it. It must be awesome. Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you
look at
mentioned that
Oreo,
because last week when we were talking to Derek at Brewski, I was asking him about how much money it must cost to make the smoothies, and he was saying, yes, they definitely cost more, but the fact that you're adding puree to a beer means you're adding volume to the beer, and you're not taking anything away from it. Whereas when you dry hop the fuck out of a beer, the hops suck out so much that you just lose that volume. And I thought that was really interesting, and it kind of ties into what you were just saying with the Oreos. You're throwing all these dry cookies that are just going to sop up all your beer, so you're going to lose that volume. So not only do you have to pay for the Oreos, which probably aren't that expensive, they're just Oreos, but then those Oreos then suck up your beer at the same time, and you end up with producing less than what you started with.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. And it's the same deal when you make a beer with whole fruits. They tend to absorb the beers into the fruits, and so when you separate the beer from the fruit, you just lose all that volume and lose like 20, 30, 40% of the beer.
So from a cost perspective, it would probably be better to use purees than, because you're just adding volume.
Yeah, that's what you can do for smoothies, because you keep the puree in, but when you add fruit puree to a fermented beer and then you just want to separate the fruit from the beer, it's not the same, but it's kind of akin to adding fruit juice to the beer.
Right.
So you'll have the fruit flavor and the sugars, but you also dilute the beer. So if you do that, you want to take into account on the base beer you made that you are going to make a stronger beer based on the fact that you're going to put juice in it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that's one of the reasons why when you put almost half of the the volume of the beer into fruit when making a smoothie. And the price point is just in the high end of the IPAs because you just get so much volume back from the fruit that you just serve to people. So it keeps it accessible.
No, that's a good point. I didn't think about that as well. I actually forgot about that, Noah. I'm glad you brought that up because that's a good point with the smoothies. And then obviously it's the opposite with IPAs unless you're using maybe cryo or something like that. If you're using pellet hops, they're just soaking shit up. And then these things, I guess, because you do have to take all the Oreos out, which are just soaking it up. I wonder if it might sound dumb, but is there a way to, like, say with the Oreos or even hops, you can get all the matter and then, like, squish all the liquid out of the matter? Is that, like, a part of the process to try and, like, do you just scoop it out if it's wet and you lose beer and tough shit? Like,
I guess you could do it. In the case of a beer, when you dry in an IPA, when you dry up it in the fermenter, you just want to keep the contacts so short that you don't want to process the beer in any way that will either keep the contact longer or add oxygen to the beer.
gotcha.
So it's just safer to just dump it. Cryo does help a lot, and we've been moving to cryo, going from half and half to 75, and as much as we can, we go to 100% cryo hops for that matter.
Okay.
Yeah, so for Interlude, you are...
They were both cryo.
Cryo, right?
Yeah.
So is that 100% cryo?
Oof. Yeah.
I couldn't tell you by heart, maybe maximum. But we do, whenever we can use cryo hops, we do. It's not all the varieties that are used in cryo. We try to keep a 50% minimum ratio because we put a fair amount of hops into the beer. So if we put like 20 grams per liters of regular hops, pelletized hops, it's very hard to keep it low contact and lose a lot of beer. So if the variety is available in cryo, we just use it because it's better for the beer. It's better for the brewer to use.
Interesting. Okay. That makes sense for sure to be sticking with cryo. I know it's more expensive, but I guess it balances out because you lose less beer at the end of the day, so you can sell more. Therefore, it works out better.
It makes better beer, so it's all for the pennies.
Gotcha. And that's what it's all about.
I have to say, this is one of the more... I know people don't like this word, but one of the more drinkable pastry stouts that I've ever drank. Like, it doesn't have an insane body. There's a sweetness to it.
Yes.
It does have a little bit of body, but it's
not like cake batter.
It's not like drinking motor oil at all. What I like about it is you really do get the Oreos. Like, when you sip it, you get that little saltiness, and you taste the cookies. But the 10%, it's really well hidden.
Yeah.
Could be because I just finished a 10% beer. I don't know. But yeah, it's and the I think it's the cacao that gives the finish a bit of bitterness to cut through the sugars. Or I don't know if it's a hop bitterness, but there's something in it that gets rid of that sweetness, because up front it's sweet, but then the finish is a little bit dry.
The focus on this one is on the as we said before, the balance between the cream, the vanilla cream side and the cacao side. So you kind of go through those both sides. When you taste it, you have the vanilla, the round sugary thing. I think it's more creamy of the pastry stout we've made since we began to do pastry stouts. So we have the creamy vanilla side, and then you have the cacao thing, which is the biscuit. So it's more like it's not as complex, but it's more like a creamy, vanilla cacao thing. So that little bitterness came from maybe the cacao addition or the biscuit, but it's kind of the more creamy pastry stout we ever made so far, I think.
Interesting.
I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, super chill. Tiff is loving it. She's like, he's hanging on to it. She's like, yeah, let me get me. She's excited. No, it's great, man. I think it's dope, and I think there's a big future in pastry stouts in the small counter. When I saw it, and I forgot that you actually told us that you were doing this, for it, and when it arrived, like, oh yeah, this is perfect. I was like, because I saw the big one, I was like, oh yeah, we're doing this tonight. Like, oh fuck, like, I don't want this to go to waste. And I'm like, boom, perfect. I really think there's something. I think Tiff commented, liquid Oreo AF. Absolutely. Yeah, it really is. But yeah.
It really does have the Oreo thing.
Yeah, it really does. But yeah, and even the artwork. Is this the same person who did the interlude? And yeah, this is dope. This is sick artwork, man.
All of Romain Lasserre, we are 100%, with Romain Lasserre right now, because it began with the Horatio beer, and after that the Big Hops.
Yeah.
And the Brasserie, and then right now we are really on the same, same place together, and it's really funny to work together. And we just pitch a concept of double dip, because we thought about Oreos, cacao, double dip. In the COVID situation, it's kind of a really ironic.
I didn't think of that.
We won't spend the holidays, with our families and that kind of stuff. So double dip is kind of a thing where someone is gross and just dip that thing twice. It's kind of disgusting in a COVID situation,
Yes.
So double dip is just some name. Just said, okay, double dip is an Oreo pastry stout in Brew. And we had the concept of just do what you want, do something, and this is where the label came from.
I love it. That's actually more nuanced than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
that's hella cool, man. Yeah. So do you actually have plans to start doing? So I know I'm just fascinated with this. I just think this is the coolest shit, because I'm not like, it's the problem with the 750s are sick. They're really fantastic. It's a beautiful thing. It always makes you feel like it's an occasion, like I was saying before with the Calculon, where you pop that. I mean, that's the cork too, but like, yeah, like it's this big beer and it's a thing. I think the only problem, say, for people who end up just stacking up beer and you end up with this cellar that you intend to drink and you might not, is that everything's too big and there's so many 10% stouts. You're like, I need to share that with somebody, and it's COVID and maybe people live alone or they're not able to do that. Something like this solves all that problem, because then this is a nice single thing. You're not going to get too messed up off it. It's perfect. It really is for this type of stuff.
That's why I always love Peche.
Yeah, because it's in that small bottle, right? For
like
9.
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're all in that, 330 ml bottle. So it's the exact same thing. So do you have immediate plans to, do something like this? Or is this kind of maybe for the...
I think this was just for us tonight.
No, I know that. I know this one is.
It was.
I'm not trying to take away the specialness of this. I'm going to keep this can because this was one of 2. But...
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is this something that maybe this format is what I'm saying, moving into 2021 with this type of style?
It's in the talks, definitely, and the way we released the 4-pack we spoke about with the Emperor Stouts, aged in barrels, is one of the reasons we went from 500 to 375 milliliters, because we felt like 750 is good to share, 500 is in between, and 350-ish is just perfect for one person. So
yes.
We felt like it was, if you want to get 2, you can get 2, that's fine, but if you just want to get 1, 350 milliliters more, so it's just the right amount of beer when it's 10%.
Yes, 100%. So hopefully that's something that we'll see more of, both from you guys and just across the industry, because I feel like it's not... I know the Collective Arts, they did their Origins of Darkness series, that's like 11.9% stouts in the 355 or 3, whatever it is. What is it? Is it 355? 330?
Yeah.
Whatever.
341? No?
It's 750. It's written on the label.
Yeah, this is 750 mils. You guys are magicians. You fit a lot.
Honestly, I think we're going to see less of it. unfortunately, because I think
Why
everyone's
is
moving
that?
to cans, and most people are moving to 500 mils, and then when they don't do cans, they usually do 750s. I mean,
Right.
that's at least what I'm seeing with like
I
Misorum
think
by Canada and most people.
Yeah,
SRM
but
start to get some 375 bottles out
Oh yeah.
in the last month.
Oh
Who
yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
who did
They
that?
did
it's a good
some
move.
pastries at
Seriously.
375. Yeah,
Who was
Yeah,
that?
that's
it's a good
true.
move.
I have one right here. It's
But
true.
I personally think that the 750 are gonna come
Nice.
back in about a year. After the COVID thing, people are gonna start together to get to share beer together, and the 750 is not it's not dead.
No.
But right now the 315 cans or the 370 75, it's a really good thing because uh, most of the time you can share your beer, so
Yeah, that's true.
it's a good thing. And when we were in Texas, and we just bought like big barrel aged stouts that came in can, but in pack of two in a cartoon box
Yeah.
from Martin House. But those beer were fucking awesome, and they were like 14% alcohol, made in rye barrel age, and they were just awesome. And I personally enjoyed the fact that they came in half size of big bottles.
Mhm.
And this is an aspect we can work, and I think in the next one it's gonna pop up.
Yeah. I think you make a really good point, actually, Max, about the bottles are coming back more as COVID sort of begins to be under control, because right now the sharing is less likely, unless you got like 4 roommates or some shit. But like, yeah, the smaller cans, and like I said,
kids.
okay. Oh no! I bet all your kids are just loving this.
Yours
Just,
got 3 of them. I only have 2.
yeah, that's true. Just knocking them
That's
back,
how we roll.
right? You got to teach them young, or just it's they're going to be soft. That's how it goes.
Para just first beer was a saison du tracteur de du diable.
You gotta send.
I bet they like the smoothies.
Oh, they'll love
Yeah,
the smoothies.
My son had a sip of the mango pineapple smoothie, and he just said like, "Dad, this is so good. I want to get this every time I come here now."
I'm like, I'd probably get put out of business. So let's just keep it for home. Yeah, no, I see that definitely. I think that's right. I reckon these will probably this size will get more popular for the next maybe 6 to 12 months, and then we'll see. But I thought it was interesting the collective moved to that from they had 500 ml stouts, and they moved in bottles. I'm sorry, for their stout series that are like 12%. And then they moved to this style this year for the first time, and I feel like I've seen more and more of those type of things, and not even just for stouts, just like anything high ABV beer. So it's like, and I think who started it actually, because when you're talking about that, Max, in the States, was probably 1050 from Oscar Blues. I think that was the first either big stout or barrel aged stout I'd ever seen in a can. And at first I was like, this is weird. Like, why would you? Like, it almost was like everything is in a can, and then like barley wines, sours, like big barrel aged sours, stouts and stuff are in bottles. That's just how it goes. And you put a stout like that in a can, you're like, what's happening here? This is weird. But I feel like that started.
Yeah, I feel like 1050 really kind of like paved the way. It's true.
Yeah,
You're
for
right.
sure. And then the funniest thing about that though, they have now like I think they're like a liter can, like the big fucking cans.
Yeah, they have a 750 for the barrel aged one. I
right,
think is what it is.
which is even funnier. Which is gone. They moved from this because they were like, here, this is all you need for one person, and to like, here, fuck you. Like, here's your big ass can, like the American style. Like, yeah. Like, I just thought that was really funny that they went from they maybe changed the game to then just doing it anyway. But yeah, the packaging formats is an interesting conversation though, just overall, because it's one of the first times in history, recent history with beer, particularly with craft beer and the way things are, that packaging formats have more of an impact than they used to.
But I think that even today, in an environment where we're so used to cans, there is something about, like, from a monetary perspective, even me, who like I live and breathe this stuff. I mean, not as much as you guys because it's not my business.
Yeah.
But in the sense of like, I'm looking at prices, I'm buying, I'm blah blah blah. But like you see this 750 milliliter bottle for $17.99, and it's barrel aged, or like, okay, that's reasonable. But then you see a can
Yeah.
of 500 milliliters for $9.99. You're like, fucking $9.99 and it's cheaper than the 750.
Yeah.
It's like this weird psychological thing where it's like, I think it all stems to wine, maybe, right? Like that bottle of wine, that big bottle of wine is worth more money than this aluminum thing or whatever, which is so silly because I mean, at the end of the day, it's all what's inside it that matters.
Yeah.
But it really plays on your psyche, and I think to a certain degree, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong because you guys are producing 750s, but like that's part of the lure of it, right? Like this beautiful big bottle, and you got the cool like logo, and you guys are doing the clear bottles.
Yeah,
It's
the
like
clear bottles are
it's
sick.
fun, and it's like there's a certain aesthetic to it, and a certain value that you kind of attach to a big bottle, and it's like an occasion thing, and it's like a fun thing. Whereas you throw in a can, it's probably cheaper for everybody, and it's more economical, environmental, blah blah blah. But it lacks that prestige. If that makes any sense. I don't know.
I think you're
right on that point. And Max touched on the Mountain House cans he bought, and what they did to overcome that prestige kind of aspect is to put two cans into one cardboard box, and it just removed the aspect that you're buying aluminum cans.
That's so cool, yeah.
So it felt like you were buying a bottle in a box, like a bottle of scotch or
like
something.
We actually
I
got
missed
two.
that. Okay, I get it.
That's genius, actually.
At the end, I think the customer is the winner of that because it's not cheaper for us to buy a custom cartoon to put two cans into it. It's gonna cost the same as put it into a bigger bottles and set it right away. But the customer, has the chance to taste it alone and then to share it if he wants or whatever. You can just like put two cans or like drink one fresh and drink one the year after. So I think it's kind of a winner situation for the customer, and it's something that that it's interesting. Myself personally, but it's kind of we have to work that angle. But right now, we are into 750 milliliters bottles. And we enjoy the fact of popping the bottles and share it, but that aspect is we have to consider it for the next few months, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I didn't even think about that with the bottles, and I think you make a good point. I forgot who said maybe it was Noah, that like the bottles are what makes it feel like it's valuable, and the bottle that you pulled up before. I guess if you can do a 375 bottle at around half the price of a 750, and maybe you sell them in 2-packs, exactly the same concept as the cans that you got in Texas, that you have one bottle, so it still feels maybe fancier than the aluminum can or whatever, that maybe doesn't feel as like an event or as this fancy big beer that you've waited in line to buy and shit. But then you can still have 2 bottles and you still feel like that. So you put one in the cellar and you're like, yeah, I'm drinking one now. And you don't have to do the splitting side of it. So I think, but I guess everyone has their own drinking habits too. So it's kind of hard because you can't please everybody.
But we have to overcome the fact that, cans are cheaper than bottles because actually, it's kind of maybe a mental thing. Because, I've personally, I've tasted some barrel-aged beers that, I just had for like 2 years, and I just cracked the can and the beer was perfect, as, as it should be in bottles.
Yeah.
But even with barrel-aged stout or that kind of stuff, it's the same thing, I think. But we have to overcome this aspect and work on that.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. There's a couple quick comments. Marc-Andre Caron says, BG has stepped up their game. Mad respect. Good one. And Francis Olivier Houle says, kudos, bro, and all of you. Is that maybe related to you, Pierre?
Little bro.
Little bro?
Yeah.
Look at that. Love it.
Yeah, he's down in Gatineau.
Ah, what a champion. Look at that.
What's up, man?
Supporting the family. What a beautiful thing right there.
Francis Olivier.
I love it. What do you, speaking of that, how do your families all feel about all of this type of stuff? Are they pretty, like, supportive, or they think it's fun? Do the kids think it's cool? Do they think it's, like, whatever because they're too young to care? They will care in a few years, but, like...
Too young to care, for sure. My oldest is 7, so she talks about it a bit, but she doesn't quite get what's beer and what's not beer and whatever it's all about.
Okay.
But my wife's definitely supportive. It's been 7 years in business and 10 years in the industry, and she's always been there to support me.
That's great.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it could be an interesting one for families because maybe people don't... Like, craft beer in the sense of where it is today isn't super old, really, as far as people's understanding of it. It feels like, for the most part, like maybe we've all been in it for a while. Like, I started all the beer stuff almost 10 years ago in January. And as far as all of that stuff, so some people, I feel like it's only been a few years where most of the society is pretty aware of it. So it's probably kind of interesting to see how families and stuff respond. How about you, Max? How's your family and stuff, like, how do they feel about your beer stuff that you do, your strange beer work?
I've got a newborn at home. He's only like 7 weeks old. So
what does he think? What's his opinion?
It's kind of
He likes lactose.
I knew he'd like that. He seemed like a lactose guy.
I think he
lactose.
he doesn't even know when I'm leaving home. I just came back and said, "Okay, I know you good." So
You're the guy.
But
Okay.
no, about my girlfriend, she's really supportive, and she work in a agricultural. She's an agricultural counselor.
Okay.
Kind of yeah. So she really support me. We met at a festival in Quebec like 5 years ago, something like that. And she kind of she's really important to me. But she's really a supportive person, and she kind of work a different angle from what I see my business on the daily on the daily basis, and it really helps me to step up the game on different aspects, because being a brewery owner is not just like brewing beer and selling beer. It's kind of having people working for you and developing products, developing your brand, sending a message to the customer. Working on social media aspect, and having a restaurant too, giving something to customers. So it's kind of a whole thing. I like that. It makes me happy on a daily basis. And the COVID situation is kind of something really difficult, but it's kind of just temporary, and for us at BG, at Brasserie Générale, we use that situation to accelerate some decision. It's just a catalyzer to some situation, to rebrand, bring some new stuff into our portfolio and that kind of stuff. So this is just like a big resume of the past few months.
Like, it's good. I like that there's a positive side to all of this. Like, it's, the negative, obviously, you shut down, but like the positive that you're still able to produce beer, you're still able to generate excitement, people coming, you're selling out almost in a day, which is crazy. People are still super interested, and it's allowed you guys to be sort of creative. And I think that's a big testament to the whole industry. I feel like a lot of breweries have done well with the pivot and being able to be like, all right, well, we have to figure this out now and how it can work.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure early on. I was like, maybe all the hard to get beer is going to be easy to get. And like, nope, it's harder to get now because everyone's got nothing else to do but fucking try and chase hard to get out of beer.
Missorum today.
Let's get drunk.
Yeah.
I think it sold out. I think Missorum today sold out within
Oh my fucking god, man!
minutes, like 4 or 5 minutes.
Really?
The whole thing.
Yeah, I think
pretty
they had like 3,000 customers in like 10 minutes, and I was one of them. But just big respect to Missouri because they just they just blow our mind with like 12 different beers, and
that was
it was kind of we're kind of okay. Just stop it. I don't want to hear anymore from just you guys. Just like 12 different fucking awesome beer, and they just sold out in like a minute over a lot of different beer, and they had like 3,000 customers in like
It's crazy.
10 minutes. It's kind of this is awesome. This is just next level.
Is that inspiring for you guys to see that type of passion from Quebec beer drinkers?
Definitely, yeah.
Do you feel that it's something that's attainable for a lot of breweries, or do you think it's kind of like a fluke or one in a few type of thing?
There's no way to tell. There's definitely a momentum thing about this. Location goes into it too. Like when you see what happens into the States with their population and what we get here in Montreal, and Quebec's a small city, so we definitely get lesser crowds.
Yeah.
But what's impressive for me is speaking about the RM is like the 12 beers they made. There's been a wide array of beers they've made for that release, not just like one variation 12 times or something like that. So it's really nice to see, and looking forward to enjoy some of these beers.
Nice.
Yeah, it was impressive to see how many like different things they had going on. They had some barrel-aged stouts, they had some mixed fermentation stuff, and then there wasn't even that many IPAs, which was kind of surprising almost. But yeah, location is huge, right? And that was kind of you guys actually touched on this earlier, but that was kind of something I was thinking about as well. Like your release today, if you were located in a central Montreal location, I'm wondering how much faster you would have sold out of everything versus where you are now. And I don't know what the scene. I don't know enough about how the scene is in Quebec versus Montreal. But it's also this like, it's a weird thing in Montreal too, because you have like a brewery like Missouri who sells out 12 different beers, like an obscene amount in 4 minutes. But then you have some other like really solid breweries who the shit just sits on the shelves for months too.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird snowball hype effect where if you get that name, then it's just like it just like goes in that direction. Whereas in like Le Castor, like you can go to any grocery store and buy their barrel aged sour, which you know what, they're probably better than half the fucking Missouri ones. Like
There are
not
so many
anything against
hidden
Missouri,
gems on the shelves.
but so like there's just like this bizarre hype thing that plays such a big part in it all, and I don't even know how I feel about it. It's just like something to think about more than anything. Sorry, I didn't have a question.
What we do is we like to taste what's happening out there, and we definitely buy when we can the hype stuff, but we're not gonna go way over our way to get them, because we can get it online and just go pick it up, it's fine. Move on to something else, and that's just fine. It's more rare, and it's nice to see what's being made.
Yeah, it's research,
It's
right?
good doing that because a lot of brewers don't, and that's I think kind of a problem too, right? Because they get so stubborn in their world, and they don't want to try anything else. They just want to like, oh, I don't have time. But like, I feel like you probably should be trying what's going on around you. You know, even if you're not into like, you know, you have breweries that want nothing to do with hazy IPAs and blah, blah, blah. But even if I didn't, I think I'd still want to see what's out there, to see like what the fucking the fuss is all about, right? Like, if I think hazy IPA is dumb, I still think you should be trying it periodically to be like, okay, I get it or I don't get it or whatever. Like, what's going on in this scene? But there's a lot of brewers who don't. They just kind of like, I don't want to touch it, and then they just do their own thing, which is fine.
Yeah.
But
We're all free to make what we like to drink and what we like to offer to customers. But one thing we did see widespread when the New England IPAs first came in is, in general sense, in many breweries, don't want to generalize, but that it was just 4 hops into a beer and it's done.
Yeah.
So that's like the oversimplified
Yeah.
way to say it, but this is how you make overburnt IPAs and just bad IPAs, bad New England IPAs. So you need to spend a lot of time into researching and understanding what's the point, what you're looking for, how you want to make it, how you want to make your own version of it, and then just get it mastered enough that you can make it how you like it consistently, and then release it to the people, to the customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, those type of beers are actually more complex than a lot of breweries owner thing. As Hugo said, it's not just like you put a lot of hops and you get a New England IPA, or you put a lot of adjuncts to that beer and it makes it good. You have to think about the stability, the balance, and all each ingredients react to the even that pastry stout. You have to think about the stability of the ingredient you're putting into your beer, or the intensity, or what will balance it. And with the hops, it's the same thing. You have to think about when you put it, is it okay? You have to get it out because you will get some hop burn or some grassy thing from the hops if you put it like into the beer too many days. You have to get an intelligent approach, and those type of beer are kind of beer that are like beer of timing, because you have to masterize the timing of those beer, because you just can't put the ingredient whenever you want or whatever. You have to get some timing. So those products need a lot of attention, and it's not as simple as a lot of people think. It's really difficult to make like well balanced and good beers, because so many things can go wrong at so many places. This is just difficult beers, I think.
No, it's a really good point. One thing, as you were saying that, Max, the thing about Quebec, I was always complaining in the last couple of years about Quebec not having great New England IPAs, if many at all. I was always having to go to Ontario or Vermont or somewhere else to get them. And then in this year alone, Quebec is my favorite region for beer, because now we can get everything like on point. Every style, from lagers, pastry stouts, smoothies now, haze, lambics, like you name it, like everything is incredible here. And something's changed in Quebec. So what made you guys want to do all these trendy styles in a province that had typically fought to sort of not do it for so long?
It's a story of imports.
Imports. Okay.
Yeah. So there was there's definitely some awesome stuff that's been made here for a couple of years. But Max talked about our trip to Texas to see Just the King. So we would just see a different side of the scene that we didn't have here in Quebec. When we went to Texas, they had a big ranch with animals and locally grown on their own land fruits and grains and stuff like that. And you don't get that in Quebec. It's so cold, so there's things you can do. Same goes for the northeast of the states where the New England style was born. So it was basically an import to Quebec. So sometimes when you go see what's been made outside of where you live, you can learn new things, see new kind of types, and then learn how to do it and translate it into what you want to make and what you can make.
So, like, did you get a lot of like pushback from the community, or were they all pretty like, yeah, they were waiting for it? Like, what was the response when you started dropping like the level? And I guess I'm more speaking to the quality of New England IPAs that you're doing. I don't know how long you've been doing it this well for. Noah only told me, like, I knew who you guys were a couple of years ago, but Noah was like, yo, you need to try. Like, I think you had Zell, Noah, or the Easy one, or whatever it was called. And you sent me.
Well, it was when Max
earlier
first
this year.
reached out to me, and just when the start of the pandemic.
Okay, so it was this year. Okay.
But even then, like, I had some BG before, and I enjoyed it. Like I was saying, Izzy was a really solid beer, but I think it was when you guys kind of had the brew pub going, and you started doing that stuff, and you sent me a wide range of products. At that point, I was like, okay, I need to start really diving into this, and I think that's when I told you about it.
It took a good year, to be honest. When we started Brewpub, we spent so much energy into just the whole restaurant aspect of things, running the kitchen and the tap room and stuff like that, that we didn't get all that much energy into the brewing process down there. But after a couple, half a year, maybe a year, Max and I, we really put some work down into the actual beers what we wanted to make from that project. And then it started to go up with the Reverber series and other stuff like that. It was maybe, let's say a year that it's been really
a year
for us.
Because there would have been some customer education that you would have had to go through and be like, hey, why does this beer look like this? Well, it's this style and this is what it is. And, you know, you would have had to probably explain to people who were newer to it. And then you've also had to let the hype boys know that, yo, like, we do this shit fire. You have to make sure you come through and get this haze from DG because now you guys are in that conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
was the...
So we do have a strong customer education sense to let customers know what we make, how we make it, what's it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But we have been slacking on getting what we've made known. Max touched on how we use local ingredients. Whenever we can get local grains, we do it. We don't sell it on marketing because we just do it because we want to do it. So it's not been a big focus for us. We just want to make what we like and into people's glasses.
Gotcha. I love it. And I think that's coming back to what you both were saying earlier. Like, the best brewery out of all the, you know, we've done probably somewhere between 250 and 300 podcasts. The best beers are always the ones that the brewers love to drink. And you guys said that earlier. You're making what you love to drink. And I think that's the most important thing you can ever do is just make whatever the hell you want to drink because it's going to be fire. And that's the best way. When I find that when people sort of if you try a new style that you don't care about, you're doing it because, okay, they want it.
No, you can't do that. You know,
No.
if you're doing something, you have to, you know, to take it on yourself, and you know, you have to drive the thing. You have to do it well. You know, you can do it backward because it's trendy. You know, because the customer is not. The customer is not a stupid person, you know. As we said before, you know, it's Flavour-Driven, you know, driven, because you know you have to do it well. If you do, you know, a New England IPA, you have to go it 100 and 100% New England IPA. And if you do a pastry stout, you have to do it, 110%, because you know you can just, you know, go shortcuts on those type of beer, you know. Even the next style, which I don't know what will be, you know, because the market is evolving so fast. You if you want to do it, you can do it backward. You know, you have to do it 100%. And this is why, you know, we begin to do like smoothie IPA and smoothie sour, and we do like 4 in a row in 4 weeks at low, at low volumes. But every time, you know, it was going like
better and better,
better and better and better, and you know the standards are not going down. You know, they're just going up every time.
I love that. I had a quick question on this. When did this beer come out?
Today.
I just checked into it on Untapped before, and I was the first check-in on this one. So I was I thought it might have come out.
Well, people are picking up tomorrow. That's why.
So beat your
This is
motherfuckers.
exclusive, bro.
Exclusive. Get on this level. I want to shout
This
out.
guy too.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Oh, this one's not out either.
No, tomorrow, man.
Oh shit!
Like,
It was on
maybe,
sale today and pick up tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, I thought it was all pick up today. Well, I feel even more special. Montreal Beer Page left a bunch of comments. Sorry, Noah, what you saying?
No.
Yeah.
No, go.
I'm special. That's what we say. We are all special. Montreal Beer Page. Shouts to you, man. You came through last week as well. You're a legend. He said, and agreeing, Calculon, one of the best beers of the year. Love your barrel-aged stuff. He says, Shed, Funky Palm, Series, Million, Calculon, Le Stout Rousse, Le Scotch Ales, and that emoji. The
Nice.
people love your shit, boys.
old school stuff.
Yeah. There's a word there that, we kind of have, something weird about when we hear, the shed word, but it began there, the shed was kind of the one of the first barrel aged beer we made with like 12 different, bread yeast.
Wow. That's crazy.
Something like that. It was kind of, I wasn't even there, but this beer evolved so much over time, but it was kind of one of the first really experience with white yeast and that kind of stuff. And, we have a special feeling about this shed.
It's called The Shed?
Yeah.
With the shed. Sometimes positive and sometimes negative, but it's kind of a mixed feeling.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Jamie Weber just says, congratulations, BG. I guess because you're fire and all the shit you're making is fire. I think they're just congratulating you on being amazing. Oh, and Montreal Beer Page says, Bretty as fuck. In all caps.
Yeah, that shed was really just
12 different types of bread?
fun bump.
That's amazing.
So
Are there even 12 different types of bread?
Yeah, I had no idea that there was that many bread. Oh, he said, tastes like the back of a shed.
yeah,
In a good way. In a good way. In a good way.
it's like you're running like a horse, old cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd lick a
And
shed.
I think vas-y. No, vas-y.
So luckily, we varied the strains we used for that shed, but one of the time there was a blend from a lab that was called All the Breads. They did that blend.
All
So
the
just,
breads.
that's what we want, right?
All of them.
All of them.
I had no idea there was more than I thought it was just Brettanomyces and there's just one shit and that is what it is, but there's multiple varieties. Is pretty cool.
There's like Lambicus and there's a bunch.
Okay.
I didn't know there was that many, but I know there are different strains.
There's much more. So it's like a taxonomy thing, but there's I think I don't want to get out of my knowledge with 5 types, general type of breads, and then between them there's strains we call them, and each one strain can be derived into more strains because of evolution and where it came from. So it can vary a great. Same goes for yeast.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like Lambicus and Anomalous and that kind of stuff are kind of domestic wild yeast.
Yes.
And between that there are other strains and sub-strains, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I think that there's something we should talk about. Right now we focus more on BG, ABG, Brasserie Urbaine, and it's part of the rebranding thing and the new portfolio of products, because BG is Brasserie Générale, but BG Brasserie Urbaine is kind of the next direction we're taking, and it's like BG 18 and that kind of stuff. We really work hard on the past few months on the rebranding thing, on the new logo and that kind of stuff, and we're still between the two, but in the next year we're gonna focus more on BG Brasserie Urbaine than Brasserie Générale.
Okay.
Uh,
What's the difference, Max? You guys want to talk through that? Like, what would be like as far as the consumer side? So if you see like this one here, the BG Brasserie Générale, I don't know if you can see that. There we go.
yeah, exactly.
Right. If you see that, what does that mean versus seeing Brasserie Générale as far as your products? Like, how are you differentiating that?
I mean, for us, BG Brasserie Générale is kind of a stamp, quality stamp, you know.
Okay.
If there's the BG Brasserie Générale stamp on it, it's because, you know, we like that beer and we believe in that beer, and, you know, it's kind of a kind of have our new approach on it. So even with the, you know, the new pack of Sir Popov and Saint Nikolai and that kind of stuff, is because we believe in those products. And those products have the BG Brasserie Générale logo because we believe in those products. And the more and more it's going to be, the less different SKUs they're going to be on, you know, shelf in convenience stores or in groceries, and it's going to be more focused on BG Brasserie Générale, which is focused, you know, sour ale, blending stock, pastry stouts, sweet stout stuff, less, you know, Hanami and Saint Gervais de Puer and that kind of stuff. You know, they're just going to be over time. I think they're going to be less produced and even disappear. You know.
Interesting. So that would mean like the Hefeweizen, all those kind of like standard, for lack of another term, beers will probably be phased out slowly to favor, you know, stuff like this, all the things you're just talking about. Is that what I'm gathering now? Okay.
And the Levi's and the Camem Clean are going to be part of the BG Brasserie Générale thing, you know. If it's going to part of, if you want to drink, you know, easy drinkable beers, it's going to be all our beer, you know. After that, we're going to go through sweet stouts, pastry stouts, you know, IPAs and smoothies, and, you know, that kind of stuff that we like to do. But we always have to, you know, to get you know, an easy drinking base. So Coming Clean and Levi's are going to be part of it.
Okay, and that's all like the lagers and all that type of stuff that are really like approachable, but also fits thematically within that, because I guess lagers now, luckily, are within that trendy kind of banner. Like they go well with haze, with pastry stouts, with smoothies and kettle sours and stuff. Okay, I like that. I mean, that seems to, from what I've seen, because I never really got to try any of those other sort of standard brands that you guys had out. I think I still have a can of the Floreal. It was sent to me years ago. Like last year or earlier this year from something. And it was just like one of those, like, what is it? Is it Hefeweizen or what is it? What style is it?
It's a classic wheat beer, I think. Yeah.
Okay, wheat beer.
With chamomile and citrus.
Okay.
Lemon.
Okay, perfect. It was just one of those styles that it's not really my thing. So it was with like a restaurant thing, sent it to me with some other stuff, and that was the first thing I probably had from you guys, and I didn't drink it. I think it's still in the fridge there, but that's how I was sort of familiar. And then that wasn't too long before Noah was telling me about you guys as well, and then I've sort of watched it. So I've only really like been paying attention this early part of the pandemic, since you guys have sort of changed into this. So I feel like that you've really, it seems like now, like your base, your customer base understand where you're going. They get the vibe. I feel like people are pretty well aware that your haze is like top tier type of stuff, like really up there in the province, and like the beers that you're doing are exciting, and that you're in like that conversation of like, oh, Brasserie Générale is doing a drop, we need to get that shit type of thing. Like, is it coming to Montreal? Like, whenever I would post about it, there'd be always people like, can I get this Montreal? Like, people are pretty amped. So I feel like you guys have done a very good job of taking it from that, older sort of style, and then basically educating your consumers locally, and then to distributing throughout Quebec, at least to here, and probably up to Gatineau and stuff like that, and letting people know that, hey, man, this is what we're doing, and really moving the needle in that way, which is great. So you're in a really good position, it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
thanks. It's so like Max said, it's been an ongoing process from like 7 years ago when we opened Brasserie Générale in the first place, and there's been a huge evolution from the first beers we made in the 3, 4, 41 ml bottles, like the classic bottles from big breweries.
Yeah.
We just made like 4 beers, and then we changed type of bottles and styles of beers, and then we went to different. We've been like switching a lot in the first 4 years. It already took a more a bigger direction when Max joined the team back in 2018 with the brew club and everything. And that's where we started really to focus on what we wanted to make and how we could make it work on the business scale and have it make sense. Also.
Right. And this sort of change was part of that business change as well. Like this change in direction of the beers was part of that. Like, all right, we're moving in this direction now.
Yeah, and also branding too. Like Max said, it's what BG Brasserie represents for us is it's anything that goes on focus with how we see beer, how we want to drink beer, and how we want to present the beers to our customers. This is whenever you see the BG Brasserie stamp, this is what it means. The older beers are slowly disappearing and just going out of production or being scaled into a new brand. So
right. I like that.
Do you worry at all about losing the customers that like those older beers? Or it's more a devil's advocate question.
it's a concern, but part of the direction we took is we want to make what we like to make, and we want people to we want to offer that to people. So to make it simple, if you like us, follow us.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
That makes sense.
I wonder if and that's a great question, Noah, because I wonder if because of the branding, and the branding is so strong as far as like when I look at this beer, there's no way I'm looking at this beer and think it's something pedestrian. Like I look at this, I'm like, oh, this is something here. What's up with this? Oh, it's a triple IPA with cry off. Of course it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like this branding really speaks to what's in the can. And that goes for all the newer stuff. So like I feel like it makes sense that you've made a very conscious decision to go like hard at this new direction, and I respect that, because if that's what you guys are like, this is what I want to drink, well, fuck yeah, then you make that shit. And I feel like there'll be other things that will come in, like you were saying, the cleaner beers, the lagers, and there might be, you know, like Max, you're saying you like the Hefeweizens, like maybe you make a Hefeweizen still that could appease those people who like the wit or liked any of those sort of earlier beers that might have lasted, you know. So maybe those favorites might not be here, but there'll be something that's like not too dissimilar, or they'll maybe try your IPAs and be like, oh my god, this is amazing, what is this all about, and then, you know, grow their palates as well. So hopefully that's really the direction. The only go on, yeah, tell me.
Yes, so the rebranding was a big part of our process in the past few months, and it was a big part of what we wanted to attack. So it was an angle situation where we had a branding that represent different years of the brewery. So we wanted to uniformize the brewery signature.
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted to make it look like what we are, what we want to do. And Romain Lasserre is kind of the guy we just discovered during the COVID back in in March, I think. So it's kind of it was a good match for us, because Romain is kind of the person we want to do, branding with it, label with it, him. So it's kind of a big part, because As you know, when you go to a grocery stores or a beer store, you got so many beers, so many different beers, and when you look at the BG store, you had like different era of the beers. So
Yeah.
we want to uniformize it with the funky, a fucking brand, a funky branding that represent what we want. So that's it.
Right.
No, and that makes sense, and it's kind of and it seems that you're doing it gradually with the ultimate goal of having it ultimately all uniform in one place.
Yeah, but we have an history, so this is the thing
Yeah.
with BG. We had an history, we have a background, so this is the thing. We are not new. We just renew ourselves, but we are not new. So this is
Yeah.
the big difference.
I think that's exciting though. I think that's cool. And I really respect the dedication to this. You're like, we're going all the way with this because it really shows that you really believe in it. If everything's going to go towards this, and that as opposed, you're not following trends. You're doing what you want. If what you happen to want to do happens to align with the things that are currently trendy or whatever, but you're doing them extremely well, then that's what you're going to do. As opposed to like what we were saying before, like fine, I'll do a New England, and it's like something doesn't really hit any spots.
Yeah.
I also feel like the people who would be maybe hanging on to the older beers might not, like typically from other breweries I've spoken to, those type of individuals typically would be the older folks maybe who are a little more traditional, a little bit less open to trying something new and things like that. And if that's, if those folks don't stick around, that's okay because you're going to get a lot more people with these newer styles than you probably would if you sort of kept, the older stuff around. I would guess anyway. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure there's a market for that that's valuable. But I feel like there's, I don't know how experimental those folks are, how much they're going to try. Are they going to be coming to the pub and drink 6 pints of wit? Like I don't know how that sort of goes. Like they're not going to line up to buy 4 packs of wit type of shit.
Yeah, that's a point, and we're such a drop in the market.
Yeah.
There's like 85 to 90% of the beer that's drank that's macro beer, and that's fine. And one of the things we decided like a year and a half ago is that instead of constantly expanding the factory, renting new space, bringing more equipment to grow, we just felt like we'll make what we want to make, we'll have fun doing it, and we can't sustain an exponential growth on that model. So we just decided to stop the physical growth of the factory and just ground down, focus on what we had, what we wanted to make, how we could do it in that space, and with whatever equipment we had at that point, and just release the pressure of making more and more beer to keep the bills paid. So this gives us the opportunity to really have fun doing what we like to do and translate that passion to the customers.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I guess if that results in a need to expand, then so be it. Then you figure it out. But rather than force that expansion, I guess that makes a lot of sense. Because I guess if you're like, all right, well, we need to try and like make these 4 or 6 like traditional SKUs for these people, and then we're gonna try and pump this stuff out, blah blah blah. It probably just becomes stressful and not even fun anymore, and like
Yeah, but that's one thing, and it's also if you take a screenshot of right now the market or the current beer scene in Quebec province, and you take every single brewery there and you give them a 25-50% growth over time, at some point there's going to be lack of customers and the market is going to just crumble. So we just figured like we don't want to do that, so we don't want to put ourselves in a position that will force us to go into that direction. Instead, go opposite way or consolidate what we have and our position that we've built and what we like to make.
That makes a lot of sense. I like that a lot. Do you guys have any specific goals then for maybe next year or for going forward? Like, do you have anything you're trying to achieve or things you're trying to do?
Crispy boys and more drinkable stuff is going to be a part of the next year. Also, making a few more IPAs and just getting our portfolio a bit broader. And we personally feel like we have a lot of work to do on the IPAs. So we're gonna focus on that too.
Okay. Okay. I like that direction. I mean, look, I really feel like your stuff is like the first one I think I had was when I visited the pub. The first one I tried was I like Big Hops. That was fucking insane. Like I still think even to this day it's my favorite one. And then I think I left with a can of the Zell and I drank that up in Gaspé and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is fantastic. And then when you did the 7th anniversary, the Reverb Band, I had the number 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, the number 7. I was like, yo, that shit. Like, I've been just extremely impressed with the haze, and if you guys are still going to tweak that and whatever that you change, I mean, if I really genuinely feel like they were already fantastic, so if you're going to keep making better, fuck man, I'm here for it. I love that. I'm excited.
Word.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Crispies and stuff as well. So, we're sitting at just after 3 hours. How we feeling, boys? Feeling good? I feel like we got everything in.
I think
It's
so.
famous.
Yeah, this was really good. I'm really glad because I feel like we got a lot of the backstory, all the info and stuff, and it was good to finally sit down and talk to you guys in a
Yeah,
long.
man.
This is my glass of smoothie that just spent the past 2 hours.
Sit.
It's fucking thick, man.
Look at it.
I think I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna jump into that tomorrow.
Ooh, I might
Under
even.
the glass.
That's
Tomorrow morning
my
or
Saturday.
tomorrow
Oh, yeah.
afternoon?
We'll see how
Thumbnail.
tomorrow morning goes.
We gotta take the thumbnail. I almost forgot.
Oh yes.
Normally Noah reminds me, but Tiff reminded me this time. I was thinking about it earlier. I was like, don't forget this time. Don't forget. So hold up maybe a can or something.
For all the things.
I've got these two here. Oh, let me put the double dip so you can see that. Yeah, get that Oreo in there. Yeah, fuck yeah, that Oreo. Here we go, here. Yeah, there we go. There you go. Ready? Oh, you gorgeous motherfuckers. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, that is stunning. I'm sending that to all your mums for Christmas. Boys, seriously, it's a genuine pleasure. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate being able to actually kick it with you guys and get all the info. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Where can everybody find Brasserie Générale online and offline?
Online on board our BG. Max, can you take it?
It's kind of difficult, but for the pub, it's bg18.beer. And for the brewery, it's kind of brasseriegenerale.com.
Instagram?
Just that, because we have to split the portfolio into two different things, two different approach. So brasseriegenerale.com, and for the pub release, it's kind of a bg18.beer.
Okay. What about Instagram?
Us, we have one.
Yeah, you got one for each.
We have two.
You have two.
On Instagram.
BG18E.
If you want to keep in touch with our beers and what's coming and what's happening, just follow both our pages. So we do have BG18 for the pub, the brew pub, and we have Brasserie Générale for the factory.
Yes.
Both pages are up to date. When we release, we do online sales or we do distribution of students' use. It's always posted on those platforms. It's the best way to keep in touch. And for physical locations, any fairly big specialty stores for craft beer, we're going to be there. Definitely the more accessible stuff and the release stuff, I just want to call or come often, and when they get a case or two, they're just going to be there.
Okay. I love it. Yeah, all your Instagram and Facebook pages are really up to date with what's happening. It's been really good with all the releases and stuff, so definitely go follow them. Noah Jeffrey Forrest, where can everyone find you, mate?
Beerism.ca, Beerism on Facebook, Beerism.ca on Instagram, and that's about it.
I'd like to it's simple. I'd like to put a suggestion out to every Quebec brewery. Can you just get a Twitter account so I can tag you? Like, you don't even have to use it. You can use. Yeah, just
yeah. We are going to work that angle, but
Okay.
you know, Instagram, Facebook, that kind of stuff, kind of
because you could
kind
just
of
like you can.
time-consuming thing. You know? I'm kind of in charge of it, plus the brewery and that kind of stuff. But
It's a lot.
Twitter is kind of we have to get there. You know?
Okay. Just I want to be able to tag breweries, and I find it like I was telling the boys the other day, like there's like 70% of Quebec breweries don't even have an account, even if you don't use it. Like I can't tag anybody, and I feel like it's missed opportunities because Quebec is on Facebook real heavy, and they're on Instagram pretty well, but they're not on Twitter. And say Ontario people are really strong on Twitter. So if I have an Ontario base and they're seeing what I'm posting, and they could go follow you because oh, that looks good. Let me go follow Brad. Oh, they don't have one. I have to write to Brasserie. You know what I'm saying? Missed opportunities. It's okay. Little tip for you: think about it in the new year. Don't stress yourself. You guys are busy. You're making Oreos. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Stick around at the end of this, and we'll say goodbye properly. But guys, thank you all very much. This was a genuine pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Let's absolutely do it again next year as well.
Tons of
You know,
fun.
things are changing. Let's whenever you guys want to do some shit, please let us know. Let's do it up. This is great. Everybody, if you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up. Hit subscribe below. Hit the notification bell so you know when the new drops. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast. And check out the long form audio so you can hear extraordinarily attractive gentlemen like these three blokes right here. Talk about craft beer every week. We'll be back tomorrow evening, I think at 8 p.m. Another podcast.
What's tomorrow?
Nickelbrook from Burlington, Ontario.
Am I on that?
No, you're not on that one because you don't know them, I guess. Next week, I think you're back on again, aren't you? I got two nights with you next
week. I know about.
Next year, I got two things with you. Basically, me and Noah are married at this point, which is all the time.
We're having babies.
Yeah, it's what we're doing, trying to catch up to everyone else. Just beer babies. All right, y'all. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace. Boom. All right, that was the audio. Guys, this is I'll end the live, and then we'll say bye on Skype, just so we can do it. Guys, for the live, thank you for tuning in. There's a whole bunch of you guys stuck around the whole time. This is really good, man. Like, this means people really love you guys. So, everybody, Montreal Beer Page, Jamie. It's mostly, the hit for Noah. The hit for Noah. Everyone who stuck around and commented, thank you guys. Appreciate you. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Peace, 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 peace.